Guess who's back? Back again. Run is back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 It's time for the running later. I'm back. Still clean shaven for the 2021s and the rest of the 2020s. It's my time to shine, y'all. Can you dig it? You better be, because it's we all be, man. It's Brother Ron from Memphis checking in on Ishtar 2021. I just had to drop my own spin on things. The world is a crazy, beautiful place, and I'm taking my place. What Too Short say, you get in where you fit in, or you make a way when there's no way. And Brother Ron is here to stay, because I got real staying power. I don't have time for the clowns, but this is not the final hour. It is time to get it on. Let's get it on. DMX, one love, brother. Pulled through. I think you still got a lot left in the tank. DMX, one of my favorite rappers of all time, easily top 10. Could have actually been top 5, but really he could be top 5. I don't think people would have a problem with saying that DMX is top 5. He's in my top 10. I got him tied with Big Daddy Kane because DMX came through like a hurricane, man. DMX got an amazing legacy. I just wish that he could have utilized his talents if it wasn't for the drugs and whatnot. And the fact that we can even have a DMX and he had the legacy, or got the legacy that he has in terms of the hip hop rap game, that's a miracle in itself. It's like what Tupac says, the rose that grew from concrete. To have a DMX, Earl Simmons, a true Sagittarius. He's like Jay-Z, who's in my top 5. I know y'all got a problem with Jay-Z politics and his business acumen, but Jehovah is a top 5 MC as far as I'm concerned. He is prototypical of what an MC should be in terms of flow, lyrical dexterity, and all that stuff. He got a very distinctive voice. He got the swagger. So I rock with Jay-Z. And far from a musical point of view, Tupac is the GOAT to me. For me, there are many GOATs. Biggie's in my top 5, right? Biggie's like number 5. I got Tupac at number 1. I got Biggie at number 5. Got Jay-Z at number 2. I got Cube and Kendrick Lamar tied at number 3. And I got Scarface, Mr. Scarface at number 4. Now I got Drake in my top 10, but DMX is tied with me with Big Daddy Kane. I love Big Daddy Kane. If you didn't have Big Daddy Kane, you can't have no Biggie or Jay-Z without Big Daddy Kane. He put Brooklyn on his back. Long live Big Daddy Kane. And he could actually dance too. Big Daddy Kane was like MC Hammer with better rap skills. I like Hammer too, but I'm not knocking Hammer. Hammer did what he did. But Hammer's like, to me, he never claimed to be an MC. Always an entertainer. It's like what but Master P, like that, which is crazy, just synchronizing everything. DMX had a drug overdose, allegedly had a bad reaction to the drug overdose on Friday night, but he was fighting to live. You got 24 hours to live. Remember that song, 24 hours to live? Also, that 4321 song that came out with A.L.L. A.L.L. is my top 10. A.L.L. Cool J. 4321 featuring DMX, Cannabis, Redman, Method Man, and Master P. Now, I guess Master P was thrown in there because of his popularity. Master P was like, Master P was No Limit, and that Bout It. I mean, he had the country under a spell with that stuff, man. I love No Limit stuff from the late 90s, the mid 90s. I had no idea that he had that type of Tupac connection till recently. Didn't know they was touring with Tupac back in 96, but Master P had to go out to the left coast, the west coast to really get his game, his hustle on. So that's unique to independent rap game, independent music. But Master P influence cannot be denied. He's a proud, tried and true Taurus. I believe he was born April 29th. And I'm a Taurus. Can't wait for Taurus season because we are the manifestors of the zodiac. You want something to be real, you can make it happen with a Taurus. We the real deal. No BSing, no bull essing. You know, we run it, man. We the manifestors, but I think Master P and Duke was both born on April 29th. It's also National Jazz Appreciation Month. But like getting back to DMX, yeah, it's interesting, you know, L.L. Cool J son 4321, you know, April 3rd, 2021 found DMX struggling for his life. Prayers up to DMX and his family. Rough Riders. I remember when he was on Van Zant show, Fix My Life. So several years back, his son tried to do an intervention. And I love what DMX comeback was, because the son was like basically saying, Dad, if you don't get your stuff together, I'm gonna disown you. And then I think DMX said something to like the fact that, well, I guess I see you at the funeral. I at the I guess I see you at the funeral. DMX should have had a whole bunch of working voiceover. That man's voice is so amazing. Like I remember like a couple years back, he was singing like Christmas songs. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all that stuff. DMX is an amazing talent. And I just hope that he pulled through. He made it to 50, which he probably thought he would never make it in his wildest dreams. If you think about the rappers, you know, even back in his time, Tupac and Biggie going at 25 and 24 respectively. But you even think about recently with XXXTentacion and what's the guy name from Chicago? They got killed down in Atlanta a couple months ago. Even with NBA Youngboy, I think it's sad what's going on with NBA Youngboy because he is so talented to me. I actually like NBA Youngboy, and I just think it is really sad if he got to do any time in the pen. But maybe that's a blessing to slow him down a little bit. Because also another rapper I dig is Kodak Black. I like Kodak Black. He's very talented. You know, you got some talented rappers in this era. People act like there's no talent. It's like when people say there's no talent in the NBA, you got very talented and skilled players in the NBA right now. And you got very talented and skilled rappers right now. And this is like, I'm an old head, right? You know, but the game is interesting because I applaud Jay-Z for his longevity. I love Cube as well. You know, I like some of the independent projects or some of the stuff that came out recently with Cube in the last 12, 15 years, but he ain't getting no play. But I respect Jay-Z's ability to do what he doing, man. Cause like he made it where you could be a rapper, or rappers can be like Mick Jagger or Paul McCartney, Eric Clapton. You could still make music at a high level into your 40s and 50s and beyond, and there's an audience for it. So I'm glad the game has changed, because I think it was weird when I remember Jay-Z say he retired from the game. Remember at the Fade to Black, the Black album back in 2003. Why are you gonna retire from something that you love, that you're passionate about? I mean, if that's art, you can't retire from art. Art outlives you. You can't retire from art. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like saying, well, Picasso will retire when he was in his 30s or 40s. I mean, a lot of Picasso's best work came after he came of a certain age. And like, even with art, a lot of your best work comes later on after living life. You look at a lot of our great artists, you think about Miles Davis and Duke Ellington, a lot of their great stuff came after they would turn 30. But like, it's weird, well, rappers got to make certain things, or you can't, if you turn 30, you old. No, you turn 30 means it's a blessing because you're still alive and you can make some incredible art. You got something to say after 30 plus years of living on the planet. And I think it's it's weird. Like, you think about what happened from the 60s, where the black man is an endangered species, and the hetero black male is an endangered species. I mean, hetero so-called alpha black men, these men are being led astray by the trappings of fame and the system and just us, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe 50 something years ago, NBA Youngboy would have been a revolutionary like Fred Hampton or H. Rap Brown or Stokely Carmichael. So it's funny that it's not funny in a ha-ha way that Jay-Z came through on Fred Hampton's death day of December 4th, 1969. So I'm just freestyling off the top of my head, but DMX been on my mind. Like, that's a part of my transition into becoming an adult. Part of my late childhood, late teens, early 20s, DMX. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. I went to college my freshman year. Stop, drop, roll down, open up shop, like that, all that stuff. Then they don't know who we be. A lot of hood anthems, a lot of street anthems. DMX, I mean, he's a GOAT. There's no way about it. His influence is vast. And I just hope that he could pull through here and make I think he got a lot left in the tank still. He got a lot to say. DMX, his spirituality speaks a lot. He tormented genius. And it's like Robert Greene. He been doing his rounds lately on the interview circuit. And he was talking about how, this guy wrote, Mr. 48 Laws of Power, the 50th Law with 50 Cent, Mastery, Robert Greene, Robert Greene was talking about how you got to really embrace your dark side. You got to really, cause like to me, people always talking about I got to exercise their demons, whatever. I'm thinking I'm at a point now, I don't want to destroy my demons. I just want to make a ceasefire, like let's do a ceasefire, make peace with my demons. Because if you destroy that part of you, you destroying you as a whole. You know what I'm saying? And some things just need to be made peace with, need to be acknowledged and made peace with so you can keep it moving. And that's the key, I think. It's not to acknowledge, but to acknowledge and to accept, but know that you still have a choice in how to interpret who you are and how to amplify that to the world, And that's where I'm at right now in my space. Cause when you turn in your 40s, I'm gonna be 41 this month at the end of the month, April 23rd. You are not old, you're not young, you just right, like that Goldilocks cup of porridge. You right in the middle. It's mid-age, right? You right there. I've been through some stuff, been taking a reassessment of my last 20 years, and then people say youth is wasted on the young. You don't know too much as a young person. You got all the energy and potential, but you don't know too much of anything. And a lot of older people tend to manipulate that, your naivete. That's why a lot of young folks are sent to fight wars they have no understanding of, they don't really benefit from, and they risk a lot doing. Like people say, well, we got this GI Bill, we got this bill, you go to school for free. I mean, what can I go to school for free when my brain is scrambled? I can't focus. I can't hold a job, can't hold a conversation, can't stay in a relationship. I'm homeless on the street. What's good is that? So it's like a lot of sorcery, trickery, lot of stuff going on. And so it's so important right now to develop that third eye and also to create a understanding or overstanding of who you are, to become your best friend, your best advocate, your best everything. Because not about everybody else, it's all about you at the end of the day, and how you view yourself and how you see yourself, not how others see you. You can't control how people see you, how people view you, and their thoughts about you. And I'm learning just being a so-called public figure. Like my last show, people disrespected me in the chat. I don't know if they real bots or who are they? The avatars, they're people I would never meet in life, or I met, I don't know them because they're not relevant. I think it's very courageous to be yourself in any public capacity where people think they have the right to discredit, ridicule, and scrutinize, and that's their business. But at the end of the day, I don't owe them anything. They don't owe me anything, but I'm just going to do me. And I'm not going to worry too much about what everybody else think about that at this point in the game. I'm surprised I'm still alive, be honest with you. I'm in 40 mode. So the older I get, I think the less I care about what people think about me. People think that, that their input means so much. At the end of the day, the only people input that means anything is the people that's doing stuff. And I don't need your consent nor your validation to do me. I just need my consent and validation to do me. And I want whoever needs to hear this, embrace that, because that was for you. And people say, well, I don't understand what you're saying. I said, everything ain't for you. If I'm talking over your head, and I'm too esoteric, I'm too this, I'm too subliminal, it's not for you, pal. Whoever receive it is for them. I tell people, I talk to a lot of young black people, a lot of black folks that love black people. It's hard to serve black people if you don't love us. because we got a lot of self-hate issues, excuse me. So I tell them at this point in the game, I'm not interested in y'all understanding me anyway. Y'all don't understand me. A lot of y'all don't. Those that get me, they love it. And that's great. But people love can change like the weather. So I'm not even living on your love. I got to love myself. I got to take care of me. I don't have to worry about you. I got to make sure that I'm functioning, that I'm okay, you know, and I'm checking in. And this is very therapeutic. I thank y'all for that. It's like, I just learned recently, you know, Marvin Gaye's birthday was on April 2nd. I didn't post anything about it, but I'm aware. I'm aware of a lot of stuff, a lot of anniversaries, a lot of things that connect. I don't share everything on my platform. Cause like, man, Lord, why me? Why I got to know all this crap? And why I got to be the one to try to disseminate it to the people? But I would say this, you know, Marvin Gaye is my blood cousin. I just found that out not too long ago. Not only Marvin Gaye, but Curtis Mayfield, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Big Miller. Y'all don't know who Big Miller is, but Big Miller was a giant in jazz and blues in his time. Really came up big in Canada. He did the reverse Drake. You know, he went to Canada and blew up, and Drake went to the America. But Drake dad's from Memphis. And I'm gonna talk about Memphis, where Earth, Wind, and Fire had their verses tonight rather, versus the Isler brothers. And the Earth, Wind, and Fire got a Memphis story. Like I said, everything run through Memphis, like Memphis, Egypt. A lot of stuff run through Memphis, Tennessee. And that's one of part of my purpose is to illuminate that, because I'm tired of people disrespecting Memphis. I'm tired of Memphians disrespecting Memphis, but I'm not tired where it zaps my energy. It encouraged me to go harder and longer and thorough with the information, because people out there may need to hear this that might be struggling with who they are and where they come from. But yeah, so these are my relatives. These are my blood cousins. You know, Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and Big Miller. I wish actually that I knew that when I was growing up. You know, how my life would be different right now if I knew that I was connected to these people and I could have handled certain things better. That's why I think it's important. And I don't think I know it's important that if you're listening to me, check out your family tree, your roots, get an understanding of where you come from, where your people come from. Create that narrative, share it with your people, especially if you have children. Make sure they learn these stories so they can pass it on to their children's children and the blah, 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 blah. So part of my mission is not only to learn this stuff for myself, but to find different ways of sharing this information with people. Because Black people, we are special people. We all related and connected to each other, to be honest with you. Not only, you know, I'm proud of, you know, I'm related to them. I mean, this is what luck of the draw, but you know, I come from a family on all sides of fighters and soldiers and revolutionaries and even some gangster people. And April 9th will mark the 51st anniversary of the questionable killing of my paternal grandfather, Herbert Hurd Sr. He was killed on April 9th, 1970 on his job. He was crushed by a machine. But the thing, he had a premonition about his death. He knew he was a dead man walking. He was married to my grandmother for 20 years, had 7 children, one already in college who just passed. My Aunt Stephanie passed last year. But, you know, I'm going to do a show about that on the anniversary of his death on April 9th. And he was an organizer. He was a labor organizer on the job at the plant, but also he was a community organizer. You know, when he died in the obituary up in Saginaw, Michigan, said leader of concerned Blacks, or, you know, concerned leader of Blacks, whatever, died, something like that. We'll talk about that. But that's who I come from, man. World War II veteran, whatever. He's from Oklahoma, Arkansas area. Tall, dark, and handsome. Was a man. And when he died, my father was 13 years old. They said it changed his personality. He became more introverted and withdrawn when his father passed. But you know, we all got these stories that we should be willing to learn and pass it on to the next generation. And that's part of you getting your reparations, when you know these stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you know it's important. And really, it's a part of healing generational trauma as well, when you confront these stories, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, right? So I'm 20 minutes in. I talked about DMX. I'm setting y'all up. So I said this is a freestyle, right? And also April 4th marks what? is the 53rd anniversary of the state-sponsored assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., Michael King, or Martin Luther King Jr. His mama called him Michael. I'm gonna call him Michael, right? But no, his folks I think they still call him Michael towards the end, his inner circle family and stuff. But let's touch on that a little bit, right? And also this Ishtar, right? But before we get into that, let's talk about what is Easter about. Is it about the Lord and Savior? It is a resurrection day if you think about it. So if it's based on fertility and reproduction, it's about healing erectile dysfunction. So the origins of Easter is all about eliminating erectile dysfunction. Think about it. It was a pagan holiday to celebrate fertility. So really, people should have been having a big orgy for 3 or 4 days. And it really would have been a good Friday if I could have got me some wonderful, healthful, and healthy portions of WAP. But anyway, let's dig into the vaults. I think everything's fine. I've been freestyle. Let me check to see everything is coming in with no problems because I just been talking. You know, you doing live shows, anything can happen. It's the carnival.
When it comes to trimming your balls.
Okay, somebody talking about trimming some his balls. Okay, let's see. It's the carnival.
When it comes to trimming your balls.
Okay, somebody talking about trimming some his balls. Okay, I think everything good. It'll work. It'll work. You know, and I'm balling on a budget. We'll do some upgrades in the near future, but I think everything's fine for the most part. But this is We All Be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Let me play what Baba Dick Gregory had to say about the origins of Ishtar. And Baba Dick Gregory, the last interview I did with Baba Dick Gregory was actually on April 4th, 2017, which was the 49th anniversary of the observation of the state-sponsored assassination of Dr. King, one of his good friends. And Baba Dick Gregory was actually in town doing a couple of sets at the comedy house we have here. And I'm not gonna say the name of the comedy house because they disrespected me when Baba was in town. Disrespectful. And so I ain't been there since that time. But I interviewed him in his hotel room at the Sheraton downtown, not realizing that would be the last time I would interview him, not realizing that he would not make it out of 2017. But we become a righteous ancestor in that time period. Did I freeze? Let me see something. I think everything's all right, man. I'm just trying to check. See, I'm coming in loud and clear. I guess so. But anyway, let me play this for y'all because We All Be a News Free Dixie. For the 21st century. Let me see. I got it here somewhere. Okay.
Ask not what we all be can do for you. Ask what you can do for We All Be.
For those of you that believe in the story of Jesus, like I do, if Jesus come back to me, we say, Jesus, they killed my Jesus 2,000 years ago. You ain't changed nothing. If Jesus come back tomorrow and bug the wrong white folks, they give him a electric chair. Then all us Christians be walking around with big chairs around our neck. Were you there when they crucified the Lord? Yeah. I don't know if I asked you this before. If I borrowed $10,000 from you this past Friday and say I'll pay you back in 3 days, would you count on your fingers and tell me what day I give you your money back?
Monday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Easter all over the world is known as Easter Monday, except America. Monday. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April the 4th.
Yes, sir.
JFK was shot in Dallas on November the 22nd, and every year we honor them celebrating the day they was killed and the day they was assassinated. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Every year. Well, how come one year Easter come in March and another year comes in April? Y'all crazy? Huh? Y'all crazy? You can't be killed in 2 different months. And so Easter is determined. Easter is a Latin word for Esther. Esther means fertility. That's why they talk about an egg in a rabbit. In a rabbit. Now, if you play that by what it should be, that's honoring the goddess of sex. So that should be a hell of a 3 days if y'all knew what y'all was doing. So,
oh, and then there's Baba Dick Gregory, of course, OG Baba Dick Gregory. He is still around. His energy is still strong. Energy force is still strong. And thank y'all. King Von, yes, the brother got killed down in Atlanta, the rapper. Thank y'all. Got a very educated, following here on a We All Be. Yeah, moderators, whatever. I believe in freedom of speech. All this cancel culture and stuff. I think the people will weed them out. It's up to y'all to chin check these folks. If I'm Tupac, y'all be the outlaws. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all hit them up on on the trolls. They don't stop, it won't stop. And the game goes on and the marathon continues. But there was Baba Dick basically giving you a short thing about what the true origins of Easter or Ishtar, whatever, all these holidays are pagan holidays and origins and stuff like that. Religions by another name, deities by another name. So it is what it is. But also let me contrast that. I had a chance to see Jimmy Carter back in 2015 when I went to Atlanta for the A.L.L conference. That's the organization that was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Mr. Black History Month or Black History Week or Negro History Week, wherever you want to spin it. They had their centennial celebration down in Atlanta back in 2015. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History, A.L.L, the association. So we ended up going because Jimmy Carter was governor of Georgia, and his hometown is just a little bit outside of Atlanta. So we went to his church and his childhood home to watch him teach Sunday school. So we had a chance. Me and my mom met President Carter and his wife Rosalind Carter and presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, a We All Be Lifetime Achievement Award. And I say Jimmy Carter is really one of my favorite presidents, along with Donald Trump. And what made him one of my favorite presidents is the fact that he was so honest that it cost him a second term. Just like Trump being so honest, it cost him a second term. But I wasn't feeling his concept about what color or ethnicity Jesus the Christ was, or Yeshua, whatever y'all want to call him, Yahweh, whatever. And so I'm going to play the audio I got from his Sunday school service talking about the color of Jesus. And we know good well it describes in the Bible how Jesus looked, but Jimmy Carter wanted to play stupid that day. So I blame it on the whatever the inoperable brain cancer he had at that moment. He was going through this inoperable so-called brain cancer he had, and he actually got cured of. They did some type of radical treatment. But the sad thing about it was at the end, about the end of the year, he lost one of his grandsons. And you know that Van Jones, from Crying Negro Network, he was at one point married to Jimmy Carter's either niece or grandniece. So Van Jones is tied to Jimmy Carter's family. Also, Jimmy Carter is a blood cousin of Berry Gordy, the visionary behind Motown Records. That's right, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. Jimmy Carter is a blood cousin of Berry Gordy. And you can look this up. Take a look. It's all online. So just, we all be dropping the dime. Brother Ron is about, maybe facts you didn't know about. But, Jimmy Carter, he was raised by Black people. So he was very comfortable in his skin around Black folks. So, let me play that audio from Jimmy. I think everything's still decent for the most part. I guess so. I'm looking at the video. Hear my voice. Decent for the most part. Okay. I'm just listening to stuff. You get kind of paranoid. Somebody watching me. Y'all watching me on We All Be. It's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Let me find that clip. Jimmy Carter. This is from 2015. I guess the brain cancer was affecting his memory about the color of Jesus that day. I'm gonna blame it on the brain cancer. The inoperable brain cancer he had at the time. Now he's cured of it. And it's good to have Jimmy, because Jimmy Carter is almost 100 years young. So I think he's the oldest living president now, if I'm not mistaken. And these presidents live long too. They got the best health care on the planet. Now I'm thinking, did he take the vaccine? I mean, no, never mind. I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole. Leave that alone. I mean, I don't want to wonder no more. It ain't my business. It ain't my place. I'm gonna leave that alone, Jack. So we're gonna play this Jimmy Carter thing on We All Be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
What does the Bible say about the appearance of Jesus?
Look around. The world is changing.
He was not outstanding. He was ordinary looking.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that is in the Bible, but let's say that's okay, John. You know, certainly in Isaiah, there's a place where it describes what we think Jesus might look like. Ugly, not attractive at all. But we have visions of Jesus being a very handsome white man, right? That's what most of us think about. If you go to a church in Africa, you don't see a picture of Jesus as a white man. Or some of our churches in this country as well. Why do you think it is that the Bible doesn't spell out what Jesus looked like? Like tall, long hair, trimmed beard, you know. He's like, yeah. That's right.
It's not important.
That's a good question, good answer. It's not important. But it also lets us envision what Jesus looked like by comparing Jesus with people who act like Jesus. I can't say, I presume Jesus was a man. I don't know about God. But we envision an almost perfect Christian being Mother Teresa. I met her very briefly one time in a hotel. Just passed by, and she gave me a little tract, which later I gave away. I'm sorry I did, but I gave away a little paper she gave me. But we envision Mother Teresa as being someone who lived a godly life and who trained herself all during her life to be more godly. And maybe some of you look on Pope Francis as being a godly man. I do. I think he's a very good man. And I think he made some speeches this week to the U.S. Congress and to the United Nations that spells out the basic principles that Jesus Christ would spell out if he were there making that speech. I think Pope Francis really tries to do that. And he represents an enormous Christian faith, the Catholic Church. I knew Nelson Mandela quite well. And in many ways, he had a Christ-like attitude toward life, and he set an example that many other people wanted to follow. I knew a couple of other people that were not famous. One was named Bill Figge. He was a medical doctor. And when I was president, he was the head of the Centers for Disease Control. And he was basically in charge of eradicating smallpox. It finally took place in 1979 when I happened to be president. I didn't have anything to do with it, but Bill Figge did. And another person I knew was a Nobel Peace Prize winner named Dr. Borlaug. Borlaug was a farmer, I think from Iowa. And he helped develop a wheat variety that would not lodge, wouldn't fall over on the ground and rot if the wind came along. And he introduced it to Pakistan and India. He went over there from a research center in Mexico, and he probably saved several million people's lives by giving them food because they were starving in those days. So you could go down maybe the list of people that you know personally, and you could, like I've just done then, you could name people who looked all different. Obviously, Bullock and Fagin and Mandela and Francis and so forth look different. But we can envision Jesus Christ as being represented by them, and we can let our imagination roam about exactly what Jesus looked at. As you said, it doesn't matter what he looked like. But Christ, I would say, had more power than most of us do. We might say, well, I don't have the authority, I don't have the power, I don't have the influence that it takes to be a godly person. Jesus had practically no power. He didn't have any physical power. He didn't have any military power. He didn't have any political power. He didn't have any social power. Quite often, he was kind of an outcast among the leaders of his time. But he was, he had trained himself as a child to be godly. And when Christ did something or said something, it represented as accurately as possible the mandates or the teachings or the principles of God.
I don't know, President Carter. I think you kind of told a lie on that one. It's come from Mr. Lust in his heart when he did that interview. Was it with Playboy? Yeah, I lust in my heart, because actually I think he lost his virginity to his wife, Rosalind. That's the only woman, from my understanding, that he actually been with in life. So Jimmy Carter, I mean, come on, man. We all know what Jesus should be looking like. He look like a black man if he, if there was a Jesus. I mean, I ain't gonna get into that, because when was the letter J invented? So who is this person's name? To me, this is why I think about religion. I do not debate people about their beliefs, because your belief is your religion. You can't win trying to debate somebody on religion. I don't understand or understand why people can't understand that, because religion ain't about logic. It's about beliefs. Like white supremacy is not about logic. It's a set of beliefs. The system is not white supremacy. The system is racism. It's about power. It's not about hate. It's about privilege. It's about leverage. It's not about hating your guts, because the folks who run it, who control, who benefit from the system, they all racist. It has nothing to do if they like you or love you or hate you. Now, if they are white supremacists, that's a different story. But most racists are not white supremacists. And I'm gonna go on that angle, because I'm tired of people hustling that bullshit where I'm supposed to wake up defeated every day. I don't wake up defeated every day. Because if that's what white supremacy is, if the system was white supremacy, you'll wake up, I can't win. You can win. And really, it's about how you look at things, your perspective on things. So that's another thing they don't want to teach you about, because George Washington lost more battles than he won, and yet he won the Revolutionary War. So it's not about quantity, it's about quality. At the end of the day, with anything, it's like if you're a baseball player, if you get 10 at bats and you only get 3 hits out of having 10 at bats, you're batting or you connecting on 30% of your at bats. That's not a failure. That means you're an all-star. You're one of the best in your profession. If you could bat at 30% on all your at bats, out of 10 at bats, you connect on 3 of them. Hey, now you're an all-star. You're an all-star. So it's about how you look at stuff. It's like that commercial that came out some years ago, maybe not that long ago, about Michael Jordan talking about, Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. But yet it's not about the misses. It's about the fact he took a risk. No risk, no reward. So yeah, but Jimmy Carter, I don't know if he was being sincere. You talking about Jesus was ugly? Come on, man. You trying to say black is ugly? Black is beautiful, man. I still like the Carter. This is the Carter. Go press. It's not your birthday. I think Jimmy Carter is a Libra too, like Dick Gregory. I think he's a Libra. But yeah, it is what it is. Somebody said belief. Let's check out there. Maybe that's true. Maybe that ain't. I don't know. I ain't looking, but people should look it up and see. Shout out to brother John in the chat. John T. Williams, Soldier. What's up, man? Dick Gregory, born October. Yeah, he was full of surprises. He was full of surprise. I think everything okay. Let's get back. Speaking of religious beliefs and religion, you know, I had Judge Joe Brown. I have him on a lot. You know, I'm the one that actually made it popular to interview the judge. I started interviewing Judge Joe Brown when he was running for district attorney back in 2014. In the spring, heading into the summer of 2014. And 7 years later, we still talking. Now, I've been talking with the judge on and off this weekend via text. But I want to share a segment from one of our earliest interviews back, I think from 2014, when he talked about the origins of religions and whatnot. And I think it's very timely to do it while it's still Easter Sunday. Because like Baba Dick Gregory said, the rest of the world celebrates Easter on Monday, right? It's like the most popular sport in the world is football. And that's soccer. But in America, the most popular sport is football. And it's not soccer, but it's called football. America is very arrogant that we do things the way we do it, and we think everybody else should do it the same way. And now we're paying the price. The chickens are roosting, and it ain't looking too good right now for us. But anyway, I'm gonna play that judge. This is Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown. What can Brown do for you, man? Judge, love the judge. Women love the judge. Judge is a man's man. Judge is a lady man. He's just Judge Joe Brown. We all be news-free Dixie for the 21st century. I love the judge. Let me find that clip. And this is Happy Ishtar 2021 freestyle with Ron from Memphis, man. Should be an instant classic. But it's interesting. I just got this ability to be able to record all this material over the years. I can just scroll through the archives here and just pulling a rabbit out the hat, you know, with these archives. But yeah, we're gonna play this. And it's Judge Joe Brown.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News Free Dixie.
News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Morgan Freeman is a very, very smart man. You know, he does this science thing through the wormhole. Yeah. He actually is into that stuff, by the way. He's not just reading lines.
Yeah, also, I know, is he an atheist too? Like, I know he's not into, I guess,
Well, let me put it this way. My attitude toward that stuff is, before I waste much time debating on whether it's true or not, I still have a great deal of undisplaced anger at the purpose, well, not at the purpose, but at the usage, well, at the use they had that religion for. It enslaved us.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it ludicrous for African Americans to have no base religion except that one. See, white people aren't basically Christians. What do they call the first planet from the sun? It's Mercury, then it's Venus, then after Earth is Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus. You know, you got Europa and Ganymede, all of the names of these Greek and Roman gods.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Thor missiles, Atlas missiles. You've got Norse mythology in there. You've got Marvel comics where you've got Thor and you've got Odin being played by Anthony Hopkins. You've got Loki.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't forgotten their religions. We don't know who Damballa, Okotie, and Agumbi are because we don't know, even though those are our chief ancestral gods from West Africa, where 99.9% of African Americans hail from as their African origin point.
Mm-hmm.
West Africa. We don't know that. All we have is Christianity. See, we have the 25th we celebrate for Christmas, but Eastern Orthodox Christians celebrate Jesus' birthday in the middle of January. You see, they don't celebrate it the 25th because that never was the one that they started celebrating. They started celebrating Jesus' birthday on the 25th because the so-called pagans wouldn't stop celebrating All Samain, which is Alsamaine, the way you spell it in English. It was an old Celtic holiday that occurred on the 25th of December. Why? Because it was 3 or 4 days after the shortest day of the year, and it was long enough after that so they could affirm with assurance that the days were getting longer and the world was returning to productivity. It's also the birth date for the Egyptian god Osiris. It's also the birth date for the Norse god Odin. The Christmas tree, the Tannenbaum, was part of the Celtic celebration, as is mistletoe. See, so they just co-opted that. Easter, why do you have the Easter bunny and eggs on Easter? Because they put it on that day because the ancients celebrated the day for Isis, the god of fertility, who became Aphrodite and then Venus. And what is a very fecund animal? Rabbits. They breed like rabbits. And what is the symbol of fecundity? Eggs. So they have rabbits and Easter eggs. That's why we have Easter eggs. It's not because of Easter. It's because it was a pagan holiday for fertility. So which of these holidays are you settling? Kwanzaa, I won't celebrate that because that scurvy scoundrel, Ron Karinga, Ron Everett, a.k.a. the Maulana Ron Karinga, who was a police and FBI informant on black people and did a lot to tear down the nascent development of a community sense in Los Angeles in the late 60s. He started it as something to pimp black people with. Started it down in a park off of Crenshaw Boulevard. So I won't celebrate that. Islam is cool with me. They treat everybody all right. The third ranking person in ancient Islam was Bilal. He was the slave chained to a rock in the desert that Muhammad rescued and made him the first crier for Islam. You know, I don't speak Swahili, though I took it. You know why? I found out Swahili was a slave language. It is a pidgin language. It's a combination of Bantu, Dutch, and Arabic that was developed for the slave trade in East Africa that went on into the beginning of the 20th century before it was stopped. So why do I want to learn a slave trade language? But everybody goes and does that. They do Afrocentric stuff because they like to dress up in the colored robes. But what they ought to be celebrating is jungle camouflage that the Mau Mau and other revolutionaries won, getting free from colonialism. They want to go Afrocentric, but they don't know who the gods are. They like being cute, but they don't understand. They put braids in their boys' hair, and in Africa, if you've got braids, that means you are a straight up and down sissy. Men can wear all kinds of hairstyles, dreadlocks, but
I signed up to be a dasher, and I absolutely love it. The sign-up process,
not braids.
I know I also touch upon, you told me something back in April about your ideas about the black church, about Jesus being a zombie. You elaborate.
Well, it was relayed to me. Somebody just asked me and said, what do you call something that's dead and gets back up and walks? Now, I don't want to say anything against the religion. I'm not saying that. But honest to goodness, come on now. Sometimes we need to remember that there's another part of this whole equation besides believing. I think the old statement was, God helps those who help themselves. Nowadays, you hear it over and over in black churches. It doesn't make any difference what you do as long as you believe. In other words, I've heard it actually said, if you believe, you can be a no-good sinner, a robber, a thief, a burglar, a murderer, a pimp, a prostitute, a drug dealer. It's all right as long as you believe. Like the hell it is, you need to do some good deeds. So we get so caught up in things that are the path of least resistance. We want everything handed to us instead of going out and earning. We want to be successful, but we won't finish school or go further in school. We may go to school, but we don't achieve in school. We want somebody, our woman, to take care of us or our man to take care of us, and we don't go out and do what we ought to do. We have a lot of babies without trying to be married to have them because we get bigger checks for doing so, but nobody wants to go find out how to raise them. We want to love our children, but we need to understand that sometimes love means don't give them everything, so they learn how to be self-reliant. You see, there's a downside, a backside, a flip side to everything. So, where do you go with what you do? You want to go to heaven? Well, go die. You'll get there quickly, I guess, if you believe. But on the other hand, if you want to take a religion as something to inspire you, then go do something for somebody else besides yourself. Stand up for something. You've got a clear pathway to the pearly gates, so be brave. Have physical and moral courage.
Well, actually, this thing, like, you know, it's like a religion. It's kind of like a hindrance to black folks, right? And I'm not saying the practice of religion, but how we practice religion and how we show to express our beliefs.
Well, I did research for this think tank I mentioned earlier, and one of the ways that slave owners were instructed to have high profit in their raising slaves for fun and profit adventures was to make sure that they got religion delivered to them so it pacified them. Religion became something that would inculcate the sense of you need to be tested by enduring what is being done to you so you could get something, the pie in the sky after you die, and put up with what we're doing to you now. You came from a heathen place, and therefore this is your punishment for being a heathen, your penance that you must pay as a good Christian. That's nonsense. That's the 3 M's. Missionaries, send them in, then the Marines, then send in the man catchers to get slaves. You see, it's not good. And we have done something very interesting. What's the name of the first planet from the sun? Mercury. Next one is Venus. Then Terra, that's Earth. And then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, etc. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, Atlas. Or you get Mercury space program, Gemini. You get Apollo. You have Marvel Comics with Thor. You have Anthony Hopkins playing Odin. In other words, the white folk ain't forgot about the ancestral gods, but you'd have to go one out of every 10,000 African Americans to find out anybody who even remotely had a clue as to who our ancestral gods may be. You see what I'm saying? We had everything replaced. Christianity is not an overlay, it's a primacy that makes us particularly susceptible to being pacified. We've got black churches as an inescapable institution in our community. Some of the preachers need to tell these young girls keep their legs closed. Some of these guys to go get a job, wear a raincoat instead of fathering all these outside children. And the young men, it's your duty to go finish school so you can deal with what you need to deal with for the next generation and the one you're part of. You see, hip hop and dancing is good, but does anybody come up with anything besides preaching against it when half of the young ladies sitting on the front row up there while the pulpit's looking have on short dresses that look like they're shorts when they're standing up? See, what are we going to do when we deal with it? We really want to get free. And the source of getting free is what you see when you look in the mirror in the morning. Comb or brush your hair, brush your teeth, shave, or if you're a woman, put your makeup on.
That was the one and only Judge Joe Brown, the one y'all love. Judge in the house. Judge in the house, breaking down his perspective on religion, origins of Christmas, Jesus, and Easter in his own way. But y'all can look all this stuff up while you can. You could do your own research. I think it's very important here. We encourage folks to dig in, do your research, and think for yourself. Come to your own conclusions. There is so much information and misinformation out there, and that's about it. You know, I'm not interested in saving people or liberating people. That's up to people as individuals to decide. You must decide if you want to live or die, be free or be scared. You know, it's your choice. So that's how I feel about it at this point in my life. I'm not interested in trying to save people. I'm just here to get the conversation started and maybe point y'all in a direction where y'all can either choose to go or not to go. But like I said, we got a lot of the archives I could just play, but I know that a lot of people was checking out the Earth, Wind, and Fire versus the Isley Brothers, right? And I think I'll make it light for the moment. And Ed had a chance. I actually met Maurice White, the founder of Earth, Wind, and Fire in Memphis. I want to say maybe it was 2003. I met him at the Stax Museum. Let me see something. I think I'm coming in a little bit fuzzy wuzzy. This is tricky. Let me check out. Let me see something. I don't know if that's better or not. My Wi-Fi is crazy right now. I don't know if I froze. I freeze. One of those nights. Let's see something. Am I here? Let's see something. Am I here? Okay. Well, I want to play. I didn't look at the live stream. I mean, or the versus battle. I haven't looked at really any of those versus battles. Like, you know, I looked at the Babyface and the Teddy Riley. I looked at bits and pieces of DMX and Snoop Dogg. I think it's great. I just like it's a lot of distractions going on, and it's some things that Black folks should be focused on more. We always looking to escape our realities, and I can understand why. But I had a chance to meet David Porter. I don't know if y'all know who David Porter is, but he was part of the songwriting team. Him and Isaac Hayes wrote some hits for Stax back in the day. A lot of hip hop folks have sampled the songs that David Porter and Isaac Hayes wrote for Stax. So, I mean, and also David Porter, his family is very deep in religion. He comes from a family of bishops and stuff. I think they heavy in Kojic Church of God in Christ. You know, Church of God in Christ was founded in Memphis by Bishop Mason, a Memphian. Dr. King last speech was done in Mason's temple right down the street from what I'm doing this broadcast or podcast right now. So his, you know, Dr. King's last speech was given in Mason's temple, April 3rd, 1968, right down the street from where I'm doing this podcast, right down the street off of Crump, you know. But I had a chance to interview David Porter. He was a guest speaker for a panel for an event that we organized. We organized a white college event through We All Be Group Incorporated. Like my mom, Sister Callie Hurd, is very passionate about educating young people about their options after high school. You know, she helped me a lot, you know, to understand the value of being not only educated, but to value knowledge of self and also to serve others with the best of your abilities, to give back, whether you got money or not, but always be your brother or sister's keeper. So I had a chance to talk to Mr. Porter after a panel discussion that my organization sponsored back in 2015. And I think I recorded it while he was on the panel talking about the origins of Earth, Wind, and Fire, how the visionary behind Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White, broke it down to him, his vision for this amazing group that was going to be rooted in being very Afro-centric as well as futuristic. And I'm going to play that clip, let David Porter talk about it in his own words. So I have that a unique life. I met Maurice White back in 2003 doing the Stax Museum, I guess, opening. And he was cool. Like, he was laid back. It's like he was very, like, chill. And he was cool. He was receptive. He wasn't, you know, with the funny business. You could tell he was a people's person, and that he loved Black people. Yeah, I believe that he actually, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire did the soundtrack for Melvin Van Peebles' magnum opus, Sweetback Badass Song, right? The film that basically gave birth to Blaxploitation back in the 70s, the film that helped save Hollywood from itself, right? And Bill Cosby was a very important financier for Melvin Van Peebles' Sweetback Badass Song. Shout out to Dr. Bill Cosby. I'm going to keep on singing his praises because if you're going to talk about the bad, you got to balance it out with the good. Give a balanced take on Mr. Cosby and his contribution to the culture. Okay, so he actually put up the money to help Melvin Van Peebles do his movie. And also Melvin Van Peebles' son, Mario, did a docudrama biopic sort of about the making, the behind the scenes, the backstory of the making of Sweetback Badass Song, right? think it was called Badass. And not only that, but Earth, Wind and Fire actually did the soundtrack. This is when Earth, Wind and Fire was not that known. They actually did the soundtrack for the movie. And so I'm gonna play this clip of David Porter talking about the Maurice White's inspiration for Earth, Wind and Fire, and Maurice White breaking it down to him. So this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Yeah, Isaac Hayes was amazing, man. That man had perfect pitch. He couldn't read music, but he was so charismatic. He could attract people like my Jegna, Emerson Abel Jr. to help him notate his music and help him arrange. Mr. Abel Jr. was his high school band director at the Manassas High School. You know, Jimmy Lunsford started a music revolution in the city schools in Memphis back in the 20s when he basically created a music program from scratch up in Manassas High School back in the late 20s. Took his best high school students and buddies from Fisk and formed the greatest swing band of the 30s and 40s, the house band for the Cotton Club at the Duke Ellington and Cap Calloway, and the #1 attraction at the Apollo Theater for a whole decade. So Isaac Hayes came from that school, and Mr. Emerson Abel Jr. was a big fan and disciple of Jimmy Lunsford. So he kicked Isaac out the high school band, but ended up working for Isaac Hayes at Stax Music, Stax Records, and the rest is history. I believe that Isaac Hayes thanked Mr. Abel when he won the Oscar for the Shaft theme song. So yeah, Mr. Abel passed away back in 2015, the same year I did this recording. Now, can I find the recording or the video? Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Yeah, such is my life. Or this We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Maurice and I were raised 4 doors from each other at 3rd and Crump on Virginia Street. Okay? We sang together at Rose Hill Baptist Church in a little group when we were 8 and 9 years old. We both moved. We went to La Rose Elementary School. Then Maurice went to Porter Junior High, and I went straight over to Booker Washington. Maurice went to Porter for 1 year. He came over to Booker Washington. We graduated from Booker T. Washington High School together in 1961. When I moved to Lemoyne Gardens, Maurice moved right at the same time. We left Virginia Street. We moved right in Lemoyne Gardens. I lived at 885 Lemoyne Mall. He lived right across from me on the drive. We went to graduate from Booker T. Washington. Isaac and I exploded as producers and songwriters in the 60s and early 70s. When Maurice had and Maurice and I remained close all these years. When Maurice had the concept of Earth, Wind and Fire, he was playing in chess in Chicago. That's him playing on We're Gonna Make It on Little Milton, Rescue Me on Fontella Bass. That's Maurice playing drums. He was a session player in Chicago. So he went up there with his family. And so people thought, and he started doing interviews, and he didn't want to say my family was split, and part of us were living in Memphis and part in Chicago. So he said Chicago. But when he got ready to do the name Earth, Wind and Fire, he was playing drums on gigging with Ramsey Lewis, and he took the place of the drum. He contacted me and said he was playing his last gig with Ramsey at the Hong Kong bar in Century Plaza in Los Angeles. I flew to Los Angeles. I stayed at the Continental Hyde House. I went to Maurice's last gig. The next day, we were walking on Sunset. Maurice said, "Man, I got a concept for a band. What do you think about this as a name?" And he said, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, you gotta understand, this is before the band. Okay, and I'm a creative guy and a writer. Now, I take a little credit for being creative. But when he said that, I said, man, that doesn't sound like that mesh very with Earth, Wind. This is before the band. But he said, listen, this is the concept. the mystic, the Egyptian, he went through the whole dissertation. This is before any success, any notoriety with that at all, before he even got all the players together. He said, this is my concept. And he ran the whole concept down of what he was going to create with Earth, Wind, and Fire. With nothing, he had the vision, the understanding that he had a niche with that vein if he were to pursue it passionately. And he said, he ran it down. I said, man, you're going to make it work because you got a concept with it. But it sure sounds like it's going to be a challenge until you get people to buy into it. He said, I'm going to get them back to buy into it because I'm going to sell the whole essence of what I'm talking about. And he understood conceptually all of that. And he did that. And the messaging in the music was straight out of the life experiences from Memphis, Tennessee, and his whole life experiences. We were doing something in the early 60s and 70s through our songs and our creative process, sending messages in an underground way to Black people. If you listen to the songs that we had success, Isaac and I, there were soul messages to our people as in a motivational way. When we say in Soul Man coming to you on a dirt road, we're not talking about the guy that owned the big house. We're talking, the Black people talking about, I'm coming this way, but I'm going to be the bomb. I got education because I was educated at Woodstock. I said, we talk in a motivational way, thinking that all our messages was targeted to Black people. We didn't know it was going to end up being as huge as it was. Hold On I'm Coming was a church song. Don't you ever feel sad, lean on me when times are bad. When the day comes and you're down in a river of trouble and about to drown, hold on, I'm coming. Who are we talking about? We were trying to do motivational kind of messages for our people. Well, Maurice was doing the same thing in the messaging of Earth, Wind, and Fire material. And if you listen to it, when he would approve a song, there are subtle messages inside of every one of those big records of Earth, Wind, and Fire that he was consciously doing.
So that was the great David Porter breaking it down, the origins of Earth, Wind, and Fire. A lot of folks think that Maurice White was from Chicago. And I hear people that are fans of Earth, Wind, and Fire say, no, he's from Memphis. He was born in Memphis, South Memphis, man. He went to Booker T. Washington High School. Like I said, the same high school where Lucy Campbell, the mother of gospel music, taught for decades. This is the woman who was the Jegna of Mahalia Jackson and Marian Anderson, who discovered and trained Dr. King's favorite singer, a brother from South Memphis named J. Robert Bradley. And Maurice White went there. He was on the tutelage of W.T. McDaniel, who at one point was the band director of both Booker T. Washington High School and Manassas High School at the same time. So Memphis has a very colorful music history and the importance of education. No, these schools, also Booker T. Washington High School also produced Marion Barry. Yes, that Marion Barry. So the history is deep. Thank you, Brother Marcus, for the donation, for your support. Thank you for listening. I will, sir. When it's on, it's on. I'm not stopping. I thought I told you that we won't stop. We all won't stop because we all be in it to win it. Yes, Brother John. Yeah, I mean, he overstood the power of propaganda to control and influence the minds. What Brother Malcolm X said, excuse me, media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. Dr. Bill Cosby overstood that, and he wanted to create a powerful, positive, impactful, and lasting, program on the mind as it relates to Black excellence within the confines of this so-called racist system of a different world. And I remember picture pages and Fat Albert and the stuff he did to promote Black art and Black history. See, we got to be honest about Bill Cosby, because he's just a man, but he had or has still a love for his people. So we got to understand. I think we got to stop putting these people on pedestals. They're just human beings. We are all flawed. We all come short. And I was thinking about this yesterday. As much as people say they love Malcolm X, he still will be hated today. Y'all would hate Malcolm X like y'all hate Candace Owens. I'm not saying Candace Owens is Malcolm X, but we hate folks that hold us accountable. what their agenda is a not really, but we hate people that call us out on our BS. I don't care. I mean, it ain't about the messenger, it's about the message. When it comes to me, I'm all about that mailman theory. Don't worry about your mailman. Go to your mailbox and get the mail that was for you. Don't worry if the mailman is a crackhead or if he cheats on his wife or if he's a bad father. That's not your concern. Your concern is get the mail that was left in the box for you. Get the message. Don't care about the messenger. See that thing with, you want to follow the messenger that comes from religion. I don't need no cult following. I'm not interested, because trust me, if you follow me around for even 8 hours, you'll be disappointed. I'm not interested in being nobody's moral leader. The only moral leader I'm interested in being is one for myself, for my own moral code and compass. But as you can see, David Porter, a legend. And speaking on another legend who was a childhood friend, Maurice White, the visionary behind Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I just want to give that. And that's why it's important. We got to start documenting our history and telling these stories. And like I said, learn your roots, man, because if I had known that I was related to Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Vic Miller and some other folks when I was growing up, I might be way ahead of where I'm at now, but everything happens for a reason. So, and I know that the best is yet to come. And I'm, I guess, hitting my prime, so to speak. Thank you, Bozart, for listening. We love you madly. I received that. And people say, well, why you go off on these trolls? I said, well, I'm a human being. It's like Kevin Durant. I don't believe Kevin Durant should have ever apologized for defending himself, because Michael Rappaport was out of pocket. And from my understanding, he even think that the $50,000 fine that the NBA gave Kevin Durant was a little bit excessive. But I mean, people think that because you out in the public, you don't have a right to defend yourself. I mean, if they have the right to their freedom of expression, I have a right to my freedom of expression. But I don't hold no grudges. It's hard for me to hate people I never met before, I don't know that well. If they are people anyway, they could be artificial intelligence, sent by the Pentagon, the NSA. I don't know. So there's no point of holding grudges as relate to this. I know I was on Clubhouse. And I don't really do Clubhouse that much, but I follow certain people and I see the topic. I say, okay, let me listen to what they're talking about. And I know it's a concern for some Black folks on Clubhouse. Are they being compromised? Because from my understanding, people are recording these so-called private, confidential, I guess private conversations. They're supposed to be like you be able to express yourself, but people are recording these conversations and they are getting people in trouble, from my understanding, sending to people's employers and to other, platforms to amplify. It's just really weird. And my thing is, like I told the people in one of the conversations I was allowed to participate in, we should be telling all our business anyway, because the revolution won't be televised, let alone podcast or talked about on apps. It's good to be able to connect and communicate with our people, but it's very toxic when our people get together and there's no plan or plan of action. There's no vision. It's like Neely Fuller talks about, it's not a good idea for large groups or substantial group of Black folks getting together without a clear plan or vision on why they are together. And all skin folk ain't kin folk, and all folks ain't worth saving, but save yourself. But it's interesting. I just talk is cheap right now. It's good to be able to talk and talk it out, but a lot of people just want to be heard, but they're not saying anything. And my thing is, the real work is offline. It's still offline. Online is necessary to galvanize, to inform, to disseminate certain facets of information. But in terms of the real work, it got to take place behind the scenes, offline, and among a select group of people. My thing moving forward is to keep my influence wide, but to keep my circle small. Like I don't mind being influential, but I want to make sure I keep my circle nice and tight as much as possible. everybody should not be able to get access to your most vulnerable places in terms of how you think and how you move. And you know, you can still be compromised. That's part of the game. But you can't be afraid to make your move at the same time. But I don't think people should be worried about getting a consensus when they need to make a move. Just make a move, man, and see what happens. Because for every action, there's a reaction. That's universal law. So, yeah, I thank y'all for receiving that. He said, Mark Clark. Yeah. Shout out to Sister Gloria Jackson. I ain't know she listened. She's been a listener of my show for a while. And I didn't know that. And so, like I said, I've been studying Fred Hampton and the tragic situation with Fred Hampton for 21 years. But I was glad to see Mark Clark's family putting out more information about Mark Clark, because nobody talks about really Mark Clark and the ultimate sacrifice he made on December 4th, 1969. And both him and Fred were targeted. They was the only two that was assassinated. And Fred trusted Mark Clark because he couldn't trust a lot of people within the organization, because the organization been compromised. But I don't think in their wildest dreams that they knew that this compromise came from as far as the government, the federal government was involved. Maybe, you know, local police, maybe the state attorney, but the actual federal government violate these folks' human and civil liberties. That's crazy. So I'm glad that they're speaking out about the sacrifice of the righteous ancestor, Mark Clark, defense captain for the Illinois Black Panther Party, who died with the Chairman Fred Hampton. And we are working on getting Mr. Bob Brown, who was actual founder of the Black Panther Illinois chapter, which was the largest Black Panther chapter in the country. Now, Bob Brown came out of SNCC, like Stokely. A lot of them come out of SNCC, you know, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. But we'll try to get on Bob Brown. And like I said, this work is crazy. Like, this actually, April marks the I've been doing this for a minute. This is the 15th anniversary of the We All Be movement. I started We All Be moving back in April of 2006. Grassroots was inspired. Like I said, we got to tell our own stories. I'll talk more about that throughout the month. But I can't believe it's been 15 years. You know, it went from being a blog to being podcasts and all this other stuff. And I'm gonna tell the story. But yeah, but I want to thank everybody who's been rocking with us for a long time. I can't believe it's been 15 years. I've been doing this stuff. It's crazy. And I haven't given up. I'm an idiot. Oh my God, this ain't making me no money. Why sacrifice my youth for this stuff? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how it play out. So I've been doing this for a long time. I didn't think about that. And I've been doing it for the love of trying to help people. I'm not even by the love of making money. Like, I look at, you know, like I was like the first person really reintroduced Dick Gregory to millennials. And yet it's other people that have benefited from what I've done, because I shared, you know, Dick's contact information out there, and people have took it and ran with it, and their platforms are like exploding. Mine's like, you know, I'm losing subscribers every day for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I cut off my beard. Maybe the people really are offended about me cutting out my beard or shaving my face and head. I don't care. But it's funny. I'm losing subscribers. People like almost close to 1 million subscribers. But I really, you know, got people to buy into Dick Gregory, and I was doing it through trial and error. You know, a lot of things, you know, trial and error mistakes, you know, recording. I didn't know what the stuff I was doing. It's trial and error. I'm just failing. I'm failing upward, though. I'm failing in a progressive way. It's not a failure in terms of backwards, but I'm failing forward. So just failing around, I was able to create a unique contribution to the cause. And no, people have benefited from it and have, you know, made money. I have not made any money like people think I have made off this stuff. And I really did it for the love of sharing the information, because I wish I would have recorded some people in my family, like my paternal grandfather, World War II veteran, seen a lot of things, unique man. I never thought about the importance of recording him or other people in my life. And now they're gone. But they did share with me stories that I would find creative ways to tell to people. and to leave, for future generations to decipher and to grow inspiration and understanding from. So I see that's part of my mission. It's not to die for y'all, but to teach y'all, the ones who's willing to learn. I'm not interested in dying for nobody. Those modern years are gone now. I'm in my 40s and I gotta live for me. You know what I'm saying? And while I'm living for me, I would love to serve the people with the best of my abilities and talents. So, oh man, time go by real fast. There's a lot I'm trying to share in this little time. But the thing that happened on Friday and with the Capitol Police and the so-called Black Muslim, I want to touch on that and give y'all a flashback. Excuse me. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Same old, same old. It's interesting. Like they claim that the brother, whoever this brother was, he's allegedly from Ohio, right? What I saw on Friday a little bit. How many of y'all know any Nation of Islam people that, I'm talking like Fruit of Islam brothers who wear dreads or locks, right? Their hairstyles normally low cut or even bald, low cut, fade, bald. I never saw Fruit of Islam rocking dreads or locks or whatever, or braids. Well, I never seen that. So that's a red flag. But also with Farrakhan, it's interesting because they always they use Farrakhan every so often for whatever reason. Like you remember the situation back in 2016 with Michael Johnson, the brother, and they try to tie Farrakhan to that as well as Professor Griff. I can even remember Farrakhan is interesting. The situation with Farrakhan, and I'm gonna share my thoughts on that. This is my opinions, man. That don't mean anything, but to me, just sharing my thoughts. They're not, it ain't the gospel, it ain't the Bible. But you remember when Farrakhan back in the mid-90s when the FBI tried to utilize one of Malcolm's daughters to say that she was trying to, neutralize Farrakhan, right? Her boyfriend was a Jewish guy who was the FBI. So he planted that seed in her head, supposedly, in Farrakhan and Dr. Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's widow. And I don't know if the daughter was there at the Apollo Theater. See, that stuff is online. I think you could even find that on YouTube, how they had kind of like a reconciliation or whatever, because people believe that Farrakhan played a part in neutralizing Malcolm, and Farrakhan was allegedly at the mosque or temple number 25 over in Newark, where the alleged killers came from. And he was there that day. I never seen anybody, not on the record, really challenge Farrakhan about his whereabouts. It's just accepted, but he never spoke on it from my understanding. I don't see no clips of him actually speaking on what he was doing at Newark temple number 25 the day Malcolm was hit. And we do know now that the National Secretary for the Nation of Islam, John Ali, was FBI. And when he did that movie or documentary, limited documentary series, Who Killed Malcolm X, he was interviewed on camera by the brother who did that documentary. But I think really he let him off the hook easily in terms of how he, whatever we saw on camera, I think he let him off easy. He didn't really needle him in on his association with the FBI, even though he said he wasn't. But come on, Nation been compromised. All these black organizations are compromised. Because even y'all heard what Mark Clark's sister said, that there were at least 25 informants in the Black Panther Party in Illinois. That's the largest Black Panther Party at that time. So you had 25 informants, but the only one we know about is William O'Neal. That's the only one that this is weird. And then I can't find no photographs of Roy Mitchell. There's photographs of Jacob Hoover and stuff, but where's the photographs of Roy Mitchell, who was the handler for William O'Neal, their prize informant? He's not just an informant. People this is why I said he was an agent provocateur, and he was not a Judas, because Judas actually did believe, I think, in Jesus at one point, right? So how is it a betrayal when he never believed in Fred Hampton? So it didn't even make sense to call him a Judas, because he never was a believer. But he did allegedly commit revolutionary suicides. I don't know, man. You look at how conflicted he was in that Eyes on the Prize interview he did. with Henry Hampton, which I'm wondering, is he related to Fred Hampton? And I wonder if Henry Hampton and his people ever tried to reach out to Roy Mitchell, the FBI guy, who was William O'Neill's handler. So it's like, yeah, we trust these people with our lives. We trust, the government. When it's weird. Just think about heightening the contradictions when you think about this stuff. Stuff is strange. If you had like 9 to 25 informants, why is the only name we know of is William O'Neill? I saw a little bit of the Alex Jones. See, the problem with Farrakhan, it's a problem, but nobody really interviews Farrakhan. Farrakhan just get to talk about what he want to talk about. You could ask Farrakhan 1 or 2 questions and he'll talk about an hour about what he want to talk about. There's nobody's holding him accountable. The only person I've ever seen that really held Farrakhan accountable is Mike Wallace. Yeah, the Jewish guy. Mike Wallace, the guy who produced the hate produced, they introduced the mainstream public to the Nation of Islam. That's the only guy I really saw really hold Farrakhan accountable. I mean, Farrakhan don't answer to nobody. I mean, Farrakhan's a religious leader. Y'all keep on thinking Farrakhan is a field general. He's not a field general. He's not Khalid Muhammad. He's not Malcolm. He's not a street dude. Farrakhan's not a street guy. And there's no knock against Minister Farrakhan, but he's a talker. And he's a Taurus like I am. He's good at communicating, and like Malcolm was a Taurus too. And y'all talking about we don't trust black men with no beards and mustache. Well, y'all love Elijah Muhammad. Farrakhan don't wear no goatee or no mustache. Malcolm didn't wear no goatee all the time. Come on, y'all. We can't, like when I hear people say, insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. No, it's not. That's the definition of practice. That's the definition of practice. See, we just say stuff not understanding what we saying. No, that's not the definition of insanity. That's the definition of discipline, of practice. Shooting jump shots for hours on end like Kobe Bryant. Playing your saxophone for 15 hours a day for 4 years like Charlie Parker. That's obsession. That's dedication. That's how you master stuff. They said it takes like 10,000 hours to master anything, allegedly. It takes you about 10,000 man hours to master anything. It's insanity to think that the person who created the system that demeans, dehumanizes, and disrespects you is going to give you some reparations or justice without you taking it. Black folks are so religious that we forget that the number one rule of nature is self-preservation. Jewish people could be religious, but they know that you got to put Jewish people first before you put anybody else first. You protect your home before you go out protecting other people's homes. You invest in your business before you invest in anybody else's business. You can't call yourself a community when everybody exploits you and then blame you for their problems when they're making money off of you. So, I mean, I'm getting to tangents and stuff like that, but I just think it's fascinating. But with Minister Farrakhan, there's a critique that Dr. John Henry Clarke, our righteous ancestor, who was a friend and a collaborator of Brother Malcolm, one of his historians and researchers. Brother Malcolm had an excellent research team of men and women of color, of black excellence. And he criticized Farrakhan right after the original Million Man March. And you could see on the tape that a lot of the brothers were angry with Dr. John Henry Clarke. Dr. John Henry Clarke didn't give a damn. He said, look, I'm blind. What you going to do for me? What you going to do to me? They took my sight away. They took my sight away, but they did not take my insight away. And, and to be fair, Dr. John Henry Clarke was also hypercritical. Not only say hyper, but he was critical of Karenga, the so-called founder of Kwanzaa. He called him out as well while he was alive too. But I think the criticism was warranted, because I remember when I went to the Millions More, right, or whatever, the Million More Justice or Else, I went to DC, and my thing is, it wasn't really revolutionary, man. It's like a lot of black folks there on a Saturday. It was like a parade or picnic, like the 1963 March on Washington. And Farrakhan get up there and he talks for a while and, you know, wasn't really focused. I was there. And I mean, I got a lot of respect for the minister. But what I'm saying is, it's funny to me. I have a Lifetime Achievement Award that I've been trying to give to him since 2015. And it was interesting that when I try to do it, I don't care if it's in, you know, Memphis or DC, whatever, they all know who I am. All the Fruit of Islam. Hey, Brother Ron, how you doing? I said, oh, yeah, you know me. Yeah, Brother Ron, we know you. I got something for the minister, man. I just want to give him this Lifetime Achievement Award. Oh, you can't see the minister. But yeah, minister meet with celebrities that disown him, they disavow him. Meet with future presidents that disown him and disavow him. Meet with all these people, man. Nick Cannon, all them. They run scared. But here I am, I'm trying to give him his props because all his criticisms, I think he served a purpose to help empower black people. But at the same time, he's just a man like everybody else. He got an expiration date like everybody else, and he did a lot of talking. So at the end of the day, what has been accomplished by Minister Farrakhan doing all this talking for the decades? Not knocking the minister, not knocking him at all, but I'm saying it's not just about him, it's about us as a people. What has been accomplished by us protesting and going to jail and burning stuff up? What has been accomplished? Now, you don't know what the definition of insanity is? Expecting the devil to give you mercy when the devil is only qualified to give you more hell. Now, that's the definition of insanity. So it's not a knock here or there, but I just, you know, all the rah we do, but nah, I'm not gonna put that on. But that's interest with the minister, because, you know, maybe about 15 years ago, 15 give or take, almost 20 years ago, minister had that life-threatening cancer, I guess. Maybe minister that made him an offer he couldn't refuse. It's like with Gaddafi. You know, the government don't mess with folks unless they own them. And I'm not saying Gaddafi was a bad man. I think Gaddafi was doing a lot of good for the people. He had a quality of life for people where nobody was poor. You had a place to stay. The government will pay for you, from my understanding, to go to any college in the world you wanted to go to. Quality of life was excellent, but what he messed up was he wanted to unite Africa like a Kwame Nkrumah. Y'all need to study our people, man. Study Thomas Sankara. Y'all talking about with the president of Tanzania. No, he fought against the man and they got him. See, we always tell them what they get him. Well, we don't know how to get. What's the point of studying this stuff? Y'all be sending me all this text messages and email to my brother Ron. They're trying to the King Alfred plan. What's the point? You ain't gonna stop it. Oh, brother Ron, they took their stuff, man. Well, you know, we all got pre-existing conditions dealing with a system that puts profit over people. You don't think your immune system has not been compromised by being exposed to all types of chemicals for profit over people? This system is not made to benefit humanity. That's why, you know, in this system, abortions are necessary evils because they don't care about people. System is here to exploit resources, including people's, and then just to throw it by the wayside. Thank you, Eric Wick. We love you, Matt Lay. Thank you for your donation. But I'm not knocking. This is not about Farrakhan. This is about us needing other folks to fight and die for us. That's why we love Jesus so much. A lot of us love Jesus because Jesus died for us. We don't have to sacrifice anything. We could look at the Final Four and the national championship games, and we could, you know, go on OnlyFans and give Bad Bobby, whatever her name is, Cash Out Girl, whatever. Y'all concerned more about how much money she making. I don't care. All these damn distractions, man. Y'all want somebody to go out here and die and fight for you all, and y'all can't give them a proper burial. We just lost a longtime political prisoner that y'all don't even know about. This man been in prison for decades on behalf of black folks, died. Where is the outpouring of grief for this brother? You know, no disrespect to George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. I don't, you know, look, if we can't honor the sacrifices of the freedom fighters, don't tell me about no victims. Y'all up here making victims larger than, I mean, damn, Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. Let me walk it back. I don't want to hear about what Ray got killed. What Ray was doing? Like, did he dedicate his life to revolution, to freedom fighting, to black liberation? Y'all got me worried about some Pookie. Y'all got, RIP for Pookie's doing TikTok dances for Pookie and GoFundMe's for Pookie. But what about about Mummy Abu Jamal? What about H. Rap Brown? What about some of our people, man, that spoke when we was afraid to speak? Y'all come on, y'all love Malcolm. Y'all do Malcolm like shit today. You can't convince me that black folks would love Malcolm. Y'all only love Malcolm because he dead. And it can't hold us accountable. Anybody, historically speaking, that held black folks accountable, we don't love. We hate them. And then when they get killed, we love them. That's not love. That's just disgusting. You and I know. Yeah, y'all know. None of y'all be following. First of all, Malcolm wasn't if he was a Christian, I guess like TD Jakes, y'all follow him, but he was a Muslim. So that's a problem right there. That's problematic. Because black folks ain't Muslims like that. Even if he was an Orthodox Muslim, it's still problematic for black folks here. I think Marcus Garvey was a Christian and it worked in his favor over here. Black folks love them some white Jesus. I don't care what. Even when you look at the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan Muhammad dude is white. And we color struck. Look at Jimmy Carter. Can't tell the truth about what Jesus' color really was if he was a Jesus. If he was a Jesus, he was a black man. He was no pale face man. He was, the Middle East is really Africa, but they got us thinking of the Middle East because they got a canal separating the Middle East from Africa. Madagascar is a part of Africa. They'll hide it on the map. Madagascar is just out. No, it's a part of Africa. Matter of fact, everything is a part of Africa. We all Africans. I know it hurts you indigenous people. Look, that's not important at the end of the day. If you're not willing to create the narrative, to stake your claims, to give receipts, I don't care what you believe. That's your business. But I'm saying, we were serious about some stuff. Look, black folks got mad at Sheriff for saying, I wish I was in Minneapolis. I could have stopped that. The fact that Sheriff said that, I respect it for saying that, but people, well, you can't. Well, who the hell are you, Sheriff? Who the hell is you? If the paramedic and the people, no, why not? We afraid to die. That's why I know we ain't ready. The fact that we would not even put our life on the line was for something that's morally right. We up here for the last week talking about, I think he died from advanced heart disease and fentanyl. Now he died from a corrupt system. He died from a dude who was a white supremacist and also a racist. He died because that Asian cop didn't care about anti-black racism. Who was also, from my understanding, when I first read about it, that Asian cop was his brother-in-law, from my understanding. I don't know. Because they keep on changing the narrative. It's like with Rodney King. A lot of y'all don't know, it was two other black dudes in the car with Rodney King. One of them ended up getting killed not too long after that. But why was Rodney King out anyway? Was he supposed to be in prison? And what happened to all them thousands of black folks arrested during the riots? Where did they go to? They sent them to Oregon? It's like with Katrina. All them thousands of black folks missing. Yeah, because black folks, we don't have no agenda, let alone any sovereign entity backing our claims. Nobody respects us enough to answer our questions about what happened to our people, because we don't respect ourselves enough. We just want to be clowns and court jesters and celebrities, and we're afraid to say, like the fact that Kevin Durant had to apologize for the disrespect he'd been receiving from Michael Rappaport for a number of years. This man had been bullied by Michael Rappaport, and he struck back, and Michael Rappaport couldn't take it. Remy couldn't take the heat. And so he want to put all the bullshit on social media. Dude, at least Kevin Durant, he went behind, he DM'd him. He didn't put it out there on these social media streets, man. He DM'd the man, and then the dude gonna share it because he can't take it. White folks ain't made. Look, Michael Rappaport is privileged. He's a racist. All white people are racist. Whoever identify as racist, they racist not because they hate you, but because they have leverage, they have privilege, they have access to things that we cannot get if you are so-called marked black. Y'all keep on talking about black is just a color. Hell, we could, if we had power, if we really had black power, we could create a black land. Like they got a Scotland. Like I said, well, people are named from where they from, you know, land of the Scots, right? You got an Ireland. You can have a black land. We think too goddamn small. Everything is based on white people acceptance and validation. White folks don't got that great of imagination. That's why they steal everything. They don't have that great of imagination. And we limit ourselves because we want to fit in. Well, we not even, they already told you, black people, that you never gonna fit in. That you are the descendants of Dred Scott. They told Dred Scott, you have no rights. You or your descendants have any rights that the white man is bound to respect by our laws. Now, we don't make no law. Y'all talking about some voting law, that bullshit. Voting don't mean nothing. The people that run the system don't vote. They rule. People who run shit don't vote. They rule. So if you talking about voting, if that's the best you could do, I'll give y'all some collard green. I'll give you some head. I'll give you a Krispy Kreme donut. That ain't shit. That's nothing. This is crazy. This is madness, man. We up here, you know, calling people raccoons, and everybody's a raccoon. Raccoons on the spectrum, like autism. Thank y'all. Yeah, I'm channeling the ancestors, man. It's the midnight hours, the witching hour, about to be channeling them ancestors. But yeah, but I don't have no problem. Like I said, people go, well, you taking Farrakhan? I said, nah, I just recognize Farrakhan's almost 90 years old. And if y'all still running behind Farrakhan, then you don't got no plan either, because Farrakhan can't save you. He can't, because he in Chicago, and they still killing folks in Chicago wholesale, from my understanding. So if he can't organize Chicago, the people that could organize Chicago, they in Supermax. Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover, they ain't gonna let them organize Chicago. Fred Hampton in the ground in Louisiana, they won't let him organize Chicago. But if you Anton Cermak and Richard Daley and Rahm Emanuel and people like that, they'll allow you to organize Chicago. Hell, they won't even let President Obama do anything for Chicago to help out. I mean, because he blamed white people. It's the white people. No, it was Goldman Sachs, nigga. Goldman Sachs, Wall Street. They your masters, nigga. You don't care about the people. Latinos waking up now. They say, well, he's the deporter in chief. I thought it was Trump. No, it was Obama with the cages, deporter in chief. For all that DACA talk, he's a NAGA. He was, you know, it is man, our people are not that sophisticated. You know, Dr. King died. Why did he die? Because we have not advanced in terms of our political understanding or overstanding of this apparatus. You know, Fred Hampton at 21 he was organizing street gangs and being very articulate, speaking at law schools and stuff like that, breaking down very complex philosophies and ideologies and making it plain to the people. Here you got NBA Youngboy who got gifts. He got communicative gifts. He's in prison, might be doing a decade in prison. This NBA Youngboy is from Louisiana. Fred Hampton folks are from Louisiana. Louisiana was the strongest state for Marcus Garvey. They held, black folks from Louisiana held Marcus Garvey down. When one of his lieutenants, Reverend James Easton, was about to become a snitch, a Tekashi 6ix9ine, they neutralized him down in the Black House in New Orleans. You know, but NBA Youngboy could be a Fred Hampton or Prentice Bunchy Carter. This is why they messed our people up, man. Like Kodak Black, all them guys got those gifts. They could have been H. Rap Brown and Kwame Ture. But they got them twisted with this. And then once they get a certain age, it's like, you a has-been. And you still young, but you've been used. You had a platform. That's why they got rid of Tupac, man. People talking about the street stuff. And nah, man, Tupac, they neutralized Tupac. They got rid of him. He was not just collateral damage, man. Like he said himself, if millions of people buy my albums, that means that's millions of votes. We can organize the votes. We could take back the hood. We could have our own political party. He's a Panther Cub. Y'all don't even understand or overstand what Afeni Shakur was able to do to get her son's estate in order. Afeni basically did what Coretta did for Dr. King's estate. She organized that junk. And you know, see, she got to think about she represented herself in court doing the Panther 21 thing while she was pregnant with Tupac and got off. We are some brilliant people, man. You know, Tupac's mom from North Carolina. You know, so I mean, we sell ourselves short every day. Because, like, you know, y'all want to this is a freestyle, man. I'm almost been on here almost 2 hours. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Holla if you hear me. Holla if you hear me. What Tupac would say. Let's check out the screen. It's like kind of fuzzy wuzzy, but I don't. Well, y'all give me donations and I do what I can do. Upgrade my Wi-Fi, upgrade my equipment, but it's better than what I had just a couple years ago. So there's progress. Yeah, NBA. I like NBA Youngboy. He got talent, but I'm saying the people around him ain't good counsel, man. He's a young father. He got kids. I ain't knocking the kids. Be fruitful and multiply, bro. But they said a man in emotional distress and stuff like that, he crying out for help. I don't know him like that. But what I'm saying is, look at people like him and Kodak Black. Those guys are very talented. I like their music. I think it's very good, to be honest with you. You know, people say, well, there's some good music. There's some good music out here, but they are not being utilized to empower the people. Their music is being utilized to enslave people, just like with Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. I listen to them. I'm not the biggest fan of Cardi B, but I understand the appeal of a Cardi B. I was looking at some Mae West documentaries on YouTube, and y'all should check out Mae West because she really created the blueprint for a Cardi B and a Meg Thee Stallion. But Mae West was very intelligent. I didn't know she was writing her own movies and stuff like that. I didn't know she wrote all these books and plays, but she really created the blueprint. And I like Mae West, actually. She's interesting. She reminded me of Black women. She was voluptuous, and also she had a deep husky voice. Because some people thought she was a man, and I like Black women with deep voices. I don't know problem. I don't like when they be bossy and shit, but I don't have no problem with no Black woman with a sultry voice and all that stuff. But check out Mae West because she liked the brothers too. She loved Black men. I think she was screwing Jack Johnson. She had a thing for Black boxers. This brother from Memphis named Gorilla Jones. It was a boxer named Gorilla Jones. He put that gorilla pimping on Mae West. He laid that pipe down so good that when she lived there, said that Black folks could not go into an apartment. She brought the apartment building. Look up Gorilla Jones and Mae West. When they said you can't have Black folks come into our building, she said, "Oh, come and see me sometime. I brought the building." So she brought the building so she can have that pipe laid down in her. Gorilla Jones was gorilla pimping. He was laying that pipe down. So look it up about Mae West. She had a lot of lovers, but she was very intelligent. And but I think about Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, especially Cardi B. I mean, I think she's highly intelligent. I don't think she's stupid at all. She's playing a role. She reminded me of like a cross between Mae West and Lucille Ball. They were not stupid women. They knew how to move. And I didn't know that Mae West saved Paramount Pictures back in the 30s. Like she saved them from ruin. That sounds like how a lot of Black folks always saving white people from ruin. And she told them that she wanted to be the highest paid person at Paramount. She said, how much does the CEO make? They said he was making like, what, 250,000? Give me 251,000, huh? Come and see me sometimes. And she got the 251,000. She was making more money than anybody in the studio. So she renegotiated the terms of her contract. But it's fascinating. But I ain't gonna get too deep. I know she was. Well, they thought she was a man, and a lot of trans people and drag queens, they worship Mae West, but y'all should check her out, her story, and look at her interviews. Very smart, shrewd business person from Brooklyn, just like Jay-Z and Biggie and Big Daddy Kane. Brooklyn's a very interesting place. Like I tell people all the time, when Ida B. Wells was ran out the South, she didn't go to Chicago. She went to Brooklyn. Brooklyn held Ida B. Wells down until she moved to Chicago. And yet Jay-Z was used to destroy Black Brooklyn. And that's another story. She probably could have been Black. I don't know. She loved the brothers though. And I got love for Mae West. Look, I got a list of women that I wish I could help Jeff Bezos money, and I will bring them back. And Mae West is one of them. But a lot of beautiful black women I would bring back that I love. I said, damn, I was born at the wrong time. I'm trans error. I believe I was born the wrong time. Yeah, Brooklyn is on, Brooklyn was an independent city. It wasn't, everything became part of what is now known in New York, but Brooklyn, they call it the Republic of Brooklyn for a reason. And I love going to Brooklyn. You could feel the history and so all that stuff. Brooklyn is unique. And stay away from the Wonder Bread. No, man, it's a wonder why black folks can't get no bread in a system that's full of bread. That's the wonder of it all. Why we can't get our fair share of bread. I ain't talking about no white women either. Y'all get it wrong and twisted. Really is about doing you. Jack Johnson was interesting. I think his first wife was a black woman. He just couldn't deal with him. He said, hey, this is too much. Let me get this white girls. I'd rather go to prison dealing with the white girls than with some of these sisters. It's like, when the gang came at Chet Hanks, whatever, Tom Hanks' weird son, and he talking about, well, you can't handle the sisters, and black women said, we're not angry. And you proved his point by you responding to the game. You proved that you are angry black women. I can admit that I'm an angry black man. Why you can't admit you're an angry black woman? A lot of y'all angry, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that the anger ain't justified. I'm just saying the game said, hey, you can't deal with sisters like that. It takes a certain type of man to deal with some of these sisters. And he was not lying. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, to be honest with you. But my thing is, what black women got to understand is that you being used to undermine your own black family. You being used to eliminate your own man. Ain't no other group of women that have been used in this way to eliminate their own men, to belittle, demean, demote. Computers want to protect black women. Well, first you got to raise black men. If you want to protect black women, raise black men. Okay? Y'all be saying shit. And women the first teacher of the child. So, you tell me, well, there's no black man. Well, you got to raise them. Let me see. Oh, my God. We're talking about MLK, right? So before I get out of here, I had a lot of other things I want to talk about. I'm not going to be on here for 4 hours. I can't do it right now. I don't even know if the Wi-Fi is holding it up. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me or not. Look, I'm kind of blurry, but hell, ain't nothing I can do about this point. I'll get an upgrade, but Jack Johnson was a G, though. Y'all could not, Jack Johnson was just true to himself, like Dennis Rodman or anybody. You got to think about when Jack Johnson was walking the planet, man. You had black folks getting lynched every day or whatever. Several black people getting lynched a week. And they would start race riots when he won fights, man. Jack Johnson was a G. And so my thing is, forget all this race man and woman stuff. If you're not willing to honor those who commit their lives to the cause. Like I said, we'll big up George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. I'm not knocking them, but even with Sandra Bland, she's problematic, right? Because she was an actual activist. And when the folks start seeing her actual views on her social media accounts, like, even when her documentary came out on HBO, the so-called Alphabet Mafia, they had a problem with her because she was a heterosexual black woman. She loved black men. She loved black dangalang. She loved black dangalang. And she was not quiet about it. She didn't care for their type of alphabet lifestyle, their alphabet soup lifestyle. She didn't care for alphabet soup. She wanted dangalang, dangalang. And also she was very activist. See, that's the problem with Sandra. It's not that she was a problem, that black folk can't accept people like her. Because even how she approached that traffic stop, whatever you want to call it, I don't act like that with police. I would not advise any black person to act like that with police. But at the same time, her actions did not warrant her death warrant being signed by those law enforcement officials down in Harrison County. And yeah, we want to blame her for what happened. No, man. And nobody came to get her out of. If they knew that folks were checking for her, they wouldn't even did what they did to her, allegedly. You understand? It's like people will tell you, if you go to a nursing home, you got a loved one in a nursing home. Even folks who work in a nursing home will tell you, y'all need to check on your loved one on a regular basis, because you just need to do that. Because if they see that you actually care about your loved one in a facility, they will make sure that they will not have them in the corner with shit on their ass for hours at a time. They will change their diapers. This is the little things. If you care about the people you say you care about, if you care about grandma and great uncle and great auntie, folks that raise you in their time of need, in their twilight hour, you disappear. See, you just don't know. People are very ungrateful. It's like I look at people who parents give them the whole world, but when they get old, when their parents get of a certain age, they want to just dispose of their parents. They don't care about them. People are kind of fickle like that. It's human nature, right? But it's interesting to consider these things. Like I said, it's freestyling, yada, yada, yada. Oh my God, it's getting late. It's getting late. Let me see. What can I include? Oh, let me talk about this, because I think it's important, because we don't, like I said, we don't honor our people that fight for us, man. And this is a great example of that, actually. I think so. You see them two brothers right there, Clayton Powell Jr. and Dr. Martin Luther King III, both reverends, right? But we don't talk about Representative Clayton Powell Jr., the Right Reverend Clayton Powell Jr. that much, right? And the irony is both these guys died on April 4th. Dr. King died on April 4th, 1968, and Clayton Powell Jr., Reverend, died on April 4th, 1972, down in Bimini. And I question the cause of his death, because they kicked him out of Congress, replaced him with Mr. Pringles. Mr. Pringles, yeah. I'm talking about Charlie Rangel. That's greasy, greaseball slumlord of New York. The biggest American gangster in Harlem. He controlled the Nicky Barneses and the Frank Lucases, from my understanding. What I've been told, I don't know if it's true, but Charlie Rangel's almost 100 years old, still functioning. I'm Charlie Rangel. But they use him to replace the GOAT black congressman, Clayton Powell Jr. Ain't nobody that we said the DC that did it better for us than Clayton Powell Jr. So I just want to share something. And I know it's not Ishtar, but it is Easter Monday still around the world. But America, we celebrate Easter on Sunday, like Dick Gregory said. And Jesus, depending on the year, he either got killed in March or April. But April 4th never changed for King and Clayton Powell Jr. and even Walter Scott. See, Walter Scott got killed by the police in Charleston back in 2015 on April 4th. My understanding, April 4th or April is a white supremacist month. Because, April 12th was the start of the American Civil War. And I believe Adolf Hitler was born April 20th. Y'all can check that up on your own. But never forget, on this Ishtar Resurrection Day 2021, they both were the sons of famous ministers who blazed their own way. They both pledged Alpha Phi Alpha. They both defied societal norms and fought for social justice. They both were iconoclastic and classic men who were also committed, creatively maladjusted visionaries and practitioners. They both died on the same day, April 4th, 4 years apart, under very questionable circumstances. They both were men of God who were gods among men. See how it works. They are the truly beyond category, man. Or they are truly beyond category, man. Never forget, say their names in Black libation and Black liberation. Our honorable, righteous ancestors. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., sunrise, January 15th, 1929, sunset, April 4th, 1968, and Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr., sunrise, November 29th, 1908. Oh, you're Sagittarius. Makes sense. Sunset, April 4th, 1972. Keep the faith, baby. Rest in power, man. Somewhere black preachers matter. The marathon continues, or the sermon continues, as it were. So, yeah. So I pay homage to them. And also I want to play this classic clip from Baba Gregory concerning his good friend, the Right Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Baba D. Gregory is like a Forrest Gump with some intelligence. I mean, his life is amazing. Lived like multiple lifetimes in one life. It's a blessing to be able to be his friend, or be an acquaintance, or be a fly on the wall, whatever you want to call it, in his presence. But I'm gonna play this quick clip. Baba D. Gregory giving his assessment of his friend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And this is We All Be, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. One love.
The reason I love using StreamYard, well, that's easy. I can make
Chris
Brogan. I can make a show like the.
I hope Chris Brogan getting some money off of these commercials he's doing for StreamYard.
I want to ask you one more thing. I know Rosa Parks, they're going to do a tribute to her coming up this week. But what about a tribute to Representative Adam Clayton Powell Jr.? I mean, he did a lot for us, and it's like he got forgotten about, so to speak, over the years.
Yeah, because he did it with arrogance. He told white folks to kiss his butt, and so that happens. That's the price you pay. Price you pay when you do it your way. And so he's in 1935, man. Adam Clayton Powell was leading marches on Factory Avenue because they wouldn't hire no Negroes. Adam Clayton Powell, one of the brilliant minds, man. He was all the social legislation that's respected around the world today. Adam Powell wrote that. The only good thing about it, in a sad way, that when the universal God pick you, it leave no footprints. You don't have to be validated. But it'd be nice for him to get his just day in court. Maybe that's our job to do. That's our job.
You actually knew him, though. You personally knew him.
We used to hang out, drink together, went to Bimini together. Always, what a brother. What a brother. We'd always go check Malcolm out. Laugh at him, laugh. Malcolm was a funny dude, man. You get to meet him and Adam together, man. You ain't seen no fun. We tell Malcolm, okay, doctor, we're going to let you go on to bed now and go to prayer meeting. We're going out and get us some barbecue ribs and a couple of white ladies. We'll catch you tomorrow when we're tired.
Wow.
Oh yeah, man. Dick Gregory, man, amazing man. Life well lived. You say me. I think there's some exciting news coming up about Baba Dick Gregory, his legacy. I guess I don't know. Dr. Christian Gregory shared with me some information offline, so hopefully we could get him on when the news come out about Baba Dick Gregory, what they're doing for him in terms of amplifying his legacy. But I look on those type of things. It's some things I wish I could have clarified or went more into detail with Baba Dick Gregory. He kind of was pointing me in a direction to do that, but it is what it is, man. But at least I did record him, and I wish I would have recorded some of my people in my family who passed away, who had a lot of information to share. But you just don't know the values. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told her, I said, "Look, man, we should have dated." Looking back 20 years later, it's like, damn. I mean, we probably could have got married and had some kids, man. And you went your way, I went my way. But it's funny how seasons, how you mature and see things differently. It's like one of them things, man. I think a life well lived is a life that has regrets. I don't believe that, you have a well lived life, there's no regrets. No, you're gonna have regrets. I mean, and not because human beings, we contradictory. That's about it. But Yeah, but Adam Clayton Powell Jr. is one of my heroes. I didn't like how he was portrayed in the Harlem Godfather. They got him wearing dresses and shit, and he loved women. He loved chasing dresses. He didn't love wearing no dress. He loved chasing the dresses, the skirts and stuff like that. And what Adam's problem was, he's too damn honest. Like you're like Jack Johnson, you too honest for his times, and still probably too honest. You probably been caught up in some scandals, but he said, "Hey man, I told you I was doing this, right? I love the skirts, okay." You know, he was unapologetic about loving the skirts. Now, you know, somebody said, well, they wouldn't think Adam was black. He's blacker than Kamala Harris. He's blacker than Meghan Markle, and he chose to be black. It was at one point when he was in college, Adam was passing for white. He was dating, I think, a daughter of a prominent white man. He was passing for white, but he was black in Harlem. His daddy was the leader of the Abyssinia Church, one of the largest churches in the country. So he was the son of a prominent preacher man like Dr. King. Like I talked about Dr. King, Daddy King was a prominent preacher man. But, you know, he was passing, and folks caught him, and he was embarrassed. His friends, "Oh, you passing for white? Where you going?" It's okay. But, you know, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was known later when he was in Congress. When he go to an event, he trying to find the blackest person, darkest skinned person in the room and hug that person. See, Adam Clayton Powell was special because he chose to be a black man. He chose to live as a black man. He could have been a white man. He could have been, you know, lived in luxury. You know, he did live in luxury, but he did a lot to help not only just black people, but to help America. And he's not even remembered like he should be. But yeah, you want to clown him and put him in a dress, but you know, he should be remembered as a man who was not afraid of the mafia, to call them out by name, to read their addresses into the congressional record. That's who Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was. And where's the leadership now? I don't know what he would think today. I do know what he would probably think today if he was alive and see what's going on right now. It's a vacuum in this black leadership. And yet we don't talk about, you know, victimhood. You know, you don't want to talk about the victors or the victors. You want to talk about the victims and elevate them to the status of like Clayton Powell Jr. or Malcolm X or Dr. King. This is ridiculous. I'll be Wells Barnett. Put them in their proper perspective and place. I don't see any other groups doing this. People say, well, about Jewish people, Holocaust, yeah, okay. But look what they got for their troubles, though. They have black folks gotten their Holocaust. Like, to me, it's just, I don't know. Man, I do know, let me just find something else. What's kind of on? Martin Luther King got killed. Also, let's see what time it is. Do I want to do this? I think he died. That's a natural death in this system. They found him floating in the pool the next year after Dr. King. Then you think about his mom. She was killed by a black person for Ohio, a Hebrew Israelite allegedly killed his mama in church. She was playing at the organ. I mean, that King found to have been under government surveillance before Dr. King was born, starting with his maternal grandfather. You know, because they was always very much involved in Georgia and Atlanta politics. And there's a dispute on that. It's kind of like a George Floyd thing. Maybe he had heart disease. You know, this is what it means. We put black folks on the stress. We live on a stressful system. You in a constant fight or flight mode. That's not healthy. That's why black people, it's hereditary. No, what's hereditary is oppression. Oppression is hereditary when you don't stand up to it. So we always in constant flight or fight mode. I don't care how big or small. They will give you high blood pressure. Always being under stress, always being stressed, always being high anxiety. Every time a cop get behind you on the street, you think they're gonna pull you over. You get all nervous and full of tension. That can't be good for everyday living. I'm breaking up. Maybe that's too. Thank you. Let me see. I'll see. Yeah, I'm breaking up. I cracked the mirror. Let me see what I can do. I'll be right back. Let's see. Hopefully that come through. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. It's tricky. See, I'm good now. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I think I may. I wanted to talk about a little Nas X as well, but I think I'm gonna retire for tonight. I've been on her 2 hours, but thank y'all for tuning in and not just tuning out. Let me see. What did my sound all right? For tuning in and not just tuning out. Let me see. What did my sound all right? I guess it does sound right. So I keep on going. Well, okay, let me talk about little Nas X because I might take a hiatus and I'll just deal with the fuzziness as long as the audio is decent. Yeah. So what about little Nas X? Why do we care? Why should we care? Well, we should not. We should not. We should not care. I'll tell you why. Everything is very gimmicky. Yeah, he was, and he should be remembered as such. You know, he's better than the AOC. I like the AC Powell better than the AOC. See, we don't got no real dynamic leaders right now on the scene. We don't, and he sacrificed a lot for our people, man. Clayton Powell was a beautiful cat. One of his wives was Hazel Scott, a pioneer in television, a stand out, very talented Black woman, proud to be Black, sophisticated, beautiful, articulate, clean, and crisp, very talented musician, piano, all that stuff. TV show pioneer, everything. That was one of his wives. So Adam, man, he was Black royalty as far as I'm concerned. And he deserves to be remembered as such, in spite of his flaws. And that what made him very relatable, because he was honest about who he was and some of his motivations and stuff like that. I don't think there's a place for him in today's society, the way things are going now, which is unfortunate because we're going ass backwards. So yeah, Lil Nas X thing is very gimmicky. It's nothing new. I'm gonna prove a point. I think I'm gonna wrap it up after this. Cause I had some clips I wanted to play, but I could do that another day. Cause time flies when you actually are having fun. And ancestors are the ancestors. Rest in peace, Clayton Powell Jr. and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So let me see. Try to teach y'all some history. I don't know if the screen is holding up. Yeah, he's very well paid for. And the thing about it is Nike's not suing Lil Nas X. They're suing the Mischief art co-op, whatever collab is, the one who did the Satan shoes for Lil Nas X using Air Max from Nike, which is interesting because Nike didn't sue him for doing the Jesus shoes. Well, back in 2019, the same folks that brought you Jesus shoes also bring you Satan shoes. I think it's a nice balance. And you're like, you got to take a book out of Dick Gregory's book of common sense that's not too common. Why is it okay to name your sports team after the devil? But where are the Duke Jesus? The Duke Blue-Eyed Jesuses? I don't know. You got the Blue Devil, the Duke Blue Devils. And it is interesting to me. And the world is ran by Satan. Lucifer is allowed to run the planet. he gets consent from God, according to people's religion. I ain't gonna get too deep into that, but I think the little Nas thing is interesting because it's always been part of the culture. You know, they consider rock and roll devil's music, even though it came out the church. It's the devil's music, the devil music. He said all they did, I think John Lennon said all they did, I don't know if it was John Lennon, but all they did was replace Lordy, Lordy, Lordy with Baby, Baby, Baby. You know, Ray Charles and Sam Cooke and Rita, all products of the black church, along with Mahalia Jackson, even Louis Armstrong, even Snoop Dogg sung in his church choir. You know, Nate Dogg, Smoke Weed Every Day, came out of a family gospel singing group out of Clarksdale, Mississippi. So let's talk about this. And I'll make it short. I ain't gonna be too long in the tooth about this because, you know, that goes back to Africa, the trickster and stuff like that. You know, you talk about Robert Johnson and meeting the devil at the crossroads to make a deal. And we all made deals. A lot of us don't know we made those deals. It's like it goes back to what Tracy McGrady said about Kobe. He sold his soul. He didn't say it like that, but he did say it like that, but didn't say it like that because he said, well, Kobe told him when he was a teenager that he wanted to die young, that he wanted to be bigger than Jordan. Kobe died young, and to many players in the league, the NBA, he is considered greater than Jordan. I'm talking about players like Kyrie Irving, probably even Steph Curry, hell. But I'm saying a lot of the younger players idolize Kobe Bryant like Kobe idolized MJ. So in a way, he died young and also is a GOAT over Michael Jordan in the eyes of many of the younger players. Kobe was very skilled, but he spoke that into existence. And we got to be careful. Your words create worlds. They go back to even Tupac and you, especially Notorious B.I.G., who died on March 9th, 97, right? His first album was Ready to Die. And I know I was looking at the recent Biggie documentary on Netflix. He talked about how he didn't mean it like that and all this stuff. But no, the next album, Life After Death, came out after he died. His greatest success he could not even enjoy because he was dead. Ready to Die, first album, next album, Life After Death. I'm not saying to be spooky, hokey pokey, but we gotta understand black people, we are the universal people, and we got a special connection to the universe. And we play with words. We can't do what Robert De Niro and Al Pacino can do a lot of times and get away with it. You know, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are almost 80 years old, if not 80. But you know, can you imagine Biggie and Tupac being 80? But yet, you know, but what they're saying is more influential than how Robert De Niro and Al Pacino act. Think about how many people became drug dealers because of Al Pacino's Scarface. You talking about like a lot of these rappers, even Snoop Dogg talk about it in his autobiography, how he didn't see Scarface as being just entertainment. He saw Scarface as being an option, being a career option. And he wasn't alone. But you think about, I remember when Colors came out, I didn't know nothing about no banging or Bloods and Crips until Colors came out. That's Hollywood, you know, with Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. You know, Robert Duvall played in The Godfather, the classic Godfather movies, right? And the first Godfather, what did they say at the meeting? You know, we sell the drugs to the blacks because they have no soul. We have a soul. And that's why we've been poisoned. I mean, you trying to say, I remember when Tupac got in trouble, when a guy said that Tupac's song inspired him to kill or murder a state trooper down in Texas. Or they blamed Tupac's song for what happened in Milwaukee or whatever, or Chicago, whatever you want. Tupac was getting blamed for all that. And they end up executing the brother who killed the state trooper, I want to say maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Y'all can look all this up, but Tupac defended himself in court against the accusation. But the thing about it, the verdict, you know, came in his favor, but he was dead. He couldn't even enjoy the victory. Now there's footage of him being interviewed by the court pertaining to that case about his music being used or influenced a young man to take the life of the state trooper down in Texas. You can look this up on YouTube, I think. And Tupac, you tell he was highly intelligent. He made a lot of sense. And they took him out of here. He was just 25 years old. You think about Young Boy and Kodak Black and people like that. I mean, they use you as a weapon against your own people. And then when you get their wake-up call, a lot of times it's too late. No, it's interesting. But I guess I set out this to say why. Let's talk about, get back to little Nas X. I think I'm gonna wrap it up after this, y'all. I ain't know I could be on this long. Sometimes I be dreading to come on here. I ain't really concerned about the trolls like that, but just I be having a lot on my mind. My world go by fast. My days be going by fast. I don't know what that's about. There's so much stuff I want to do, and it's very frustrating being me sometimes because I just got so much love to give, and it's just frustrating. So let's talk about this on the screen here. Got P.D. Wheatstraw without the head. That's the brother without the head. And you got Robert Johnson, the brother with the head. We lost P.D. at 39. Very significant number in Black history. You think about all the Black, leaders we lost at 39, like Malcolm and Martin Luther King, and even James Priest Europe, the great jazz music genius and pioneer. And Robert Johnson, we lost him at 27 years young. Think about how many great, they got the 27 Club. Think about all the great artists we lost at 27. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jimmy Morrison, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Louis Chauvin from St. Louis, one of the great ragtime piano players of all time. So they got a thing called the 27 Club. There's a lot of other people. Kurt Cobain, I think he died at 27. So let's talk about this because they, P.D. Wheatstraw called himself the High Sheriff of Hell, the Devil's son-in-law. So y'all think about P.D. Wheatstraw, y'all thinking about Dolomite, but that's where he got it from. This guy who called himself P.D. Wheatstraw, who was during this time period the most popular blues singer of the 30s. Very prolific songwriter, singer. He was the most popular and well-known. And Robert Johnson, they say he made a deal with the devil at the crossroads down in the Mississippi Delta. And Robert Johnson died on August 16th, 1938. August 16th, of course, is the death date of American cultural royalty. August 16th, 1948 is when Babe Ruth, the king of baseball, died. I think August the 16th, 1977 is when Elvis Presley, the so-called king of rock and roll, died. I think it was 77. Y'all can look it up. I ain't looking it up right now. And August the 16th, of course, 2018 is the death date of Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul. 3 out of 4 of those people got Memphis connections. Robert Johnson, Aretha Franklin, and Elvis Presley. All Memphis connected, right? And matter of fact, Robert Johnson's, I think, stepsister wrote a amazing book with this guy named Preston Lauterbach, a guy who I interviewed, who I knew. He was a journalist for the Memphis Flyer. Now he's a writer. He's an author of several books, including the Chitlin Circle book. We interviewed him a couple of years ago. But he did a book with Robert Johnson's sister, who's in her almost 100 years old, but her mind is so clear and she's so articulate, and she shared some photos, never before seen photos of Robert Johnson outside his family. As on the front cover of the book. Y'all can look this book up. But Robert Johnson's sister wrote a book with Preston Lauterbach to talk about the little known side of the actual real Robert Johnson. So let me read a summary and why it's important to know this, and why you shouldn't really take little Nas X that serious, but it is serious because, Robert Johnson died young and he supposed to made a deal with the devil. And that's part of the blues thing. A lot of blues artists say they made a deal with the devil, right? I can name a couple of them. I can't name them right now. Then P.D. Wheatstraw died a tragic death at 39. So I'm going to do a little reading that I wrote about these men. And think I'll call it a night because I could be on here all day. And I love talking with you all. Thank y'all for being very supportive and understanding. Now, and Robert Johnson was a Taurus. And I believe Petey Wheatstraw. When was Petey Wheatstraw born? Petey Wheatstraw was actually a Sagittarius, like DMX. So, okay. May the 8th, 2021 will mark the 110th Life Affirmation Day observation of the late, great Robert Johnson, the king of the Delta Blues, aka the Blues Goat, man. If you let white folks tell it, man. The truth is that when he died at the age of 27, member of the infamous 27 Club, which includes the likes of Louis Chauvin, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse. Under questionable circumstances on August 16th, 1938, he was not that well known by the general public. His biggest record during his lifetime, Terraplane Blues, sold a modest 5,000 copies. Allegedly, Robert was poisoned via alcohol by the jealous husband of one of his many female lovers. You see, Robert got around before there was a Tupac. The husband allegedly ran the Three Forks Club, where he played his last gig right before dying in Greenwood, Mississippi. August 16th is also the death day of Babe Ruth, 1948, Elvis Presley, 1977, and Aretha Franklin, 2018, all of whom also carried a royal moniker to mark their renown and dominance in their respective fields. See how it works? However, Johnson was on the verge of big-time fame when legendary record producer John Hammond sent a talent scout down to the Mississippi Delta to book Robert for his epic 1938 Spirituals to Swing concert at Carnegie Hall, only to find out that he died months earlier. John Hammond had an amazing ear for talent. He is credited with discovering this John Hammond. Now, he was a Vanderbilt. Y'all know I talk about hidden colors. So really, he was maybe a black dude, a white dude, or a black guy passing as white, But John Hammond had an amazing ear for talent. He is credited with discovering Billie Holiday, Count Basie, Bob Dylan, Aretha Franklin, and Bruce Springsteen, among many others. With that said, Robert Johnson's legend was resurrected by a generation of young white British musicians in the 1960s, such as Keith Richards, the Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton, Led Zeppelin, and others. The compilation album of his complete recordings won a Grammy, 1992. His likeness placed on a U.S. postage stamp in 1994, and he was an inaugural inductee of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 1986. It is safe to say that the fame and accolades that eluded Roberts in 27 years of life only continues to grow in depth, almost 83 years later. It is said that Robert Johnson made a deal with the devil at the crossroads to become so great at singing and playing the blues in such a short period of time. It's also said that he had a fascination with the occult and black magic. However, Robert was not the first, nor is he the last musician to allegedly make a Faustian deal with the devil. As a matter of fact, there was a blues musician similarly associated who was way more popular than Robert Johnson during their lifetime, but is now mostly forgotten of, just a footnote today. His birth name was William Bunch, but he was famously known as P.T. Wheatstraw. He called himself the devil's son-in-law and the high sheriff of hell. He was the most popular and commercially successful blues male singer of the 1930s and the early 1940s. Like Robert, he had Mississippi Delta roots. What is strange is that Robert actually sounds a lot like Petey Wheatstraw. They are both known for their falsetto singing, and you can tell that Robert incorporated or reworked some of Petey's songs and song structure and themes in his own music. Because of his macho persona and the braggadocious nature and dark themes of his music, Petey Wheatstraw is considered by some experts to be the prototype for the modern day rapper. Unfortunately, he died on his 39th life affirmation day, December 21st, 1941, in East St. Louis. While making a beer run, the car he was riding in hit a standing freight train. All 3 occupants in the vehicle were thrown out, with 2 dying instantly. Petey would die 5 hours later in a hospital from severe head injuries. Unlike Robert Johnson, his death made local and national headlines and was mentioned by the leading music publications of the day, including Billboard. So why is Petey Wheatstraw, who was bigger and way better known in life than Robert Johnson, is now forgotten about in death, whereas Robert, who was an obscure itinerant musician in life, is now so much more better known and celebrated in death? Who makes these calls and who writes these scripts, man? Put it this way, it would be like Drake, who is one of the most celebrated and accomplished music artists of his time, being forgotten about and eclipsed 100 years later by a rapper of his same era who was barely getting any listens on SoundCloud. The games, man. Make no mistake, I am a Robert Johnson fan, but there is more than enough room for all the greats, past, present, and future, to be acknowledged and celebrated. If we don't tell their stories, the righteous ancestors get no glory. One love. So that was what I wrote. And yeah, it's something to consider. Like I said, them guys make a deal with the devil. They don't have a good ending in real life. And also, if you look at the Dolomite movie, he didn't win as Petey Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. He had to become the devil's son-in-law, one way or the other. So there's nothing new under the sun. And I love, like, Lil Nas X, it's interesting because he gave the devil a lap dance. Too bad that Zimmerman and Chauvin can't give the devil a lap dance right now. And he killed the devil. And the thing, like Picasso, like I think Picasso said it, or somebody said it. They said, in order to be great, you must kill your father. You must kill your father figure. In order to be great, you must kill your father. And that could mean a lot of different things. For example, one of James Baldwin's benefactors was benefactor person that support you, your sponsor as a benefactor, I think, was Richard Wright, the brilliant, great writer from Mississippi, black boy, native son, all this stuff. Richard Wright gave his endorsement to James Baldwin. And when James Baldwin got in, he tried to destroy the reputation of Richard Wright. And then I remember reading, I think in Huey P. Newton's Revolutionary Suicide, or I read Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice. And I actually enjoyed reading his book, but he was he was giving James Baldwin the business in his book, one of his essays. And I believe Huey Newton talked about in his autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide, that him and Eldridge went to a party for James Baldwin. And James Baldwin saw Eldridge, and Eldridge saw James, and they gave each other tongue kisses, according to Huey P. Newton. That's in his book, Revolutionary Suicide. I mean, whatever. But yeah. So Lil Nas X talked about being bullied, I believe, in one of his posts. Yeah, they come with the territory. I think everybody's been bullied, and people are still being bullied. You don't know you're being bullied. That's the beauty of it. You don't think the IRS and the SBA and CIA and NSA, they ain't bullies? You don't think Facebook are a bunch of bullies, or YouTube, or whatever? But anyway, nah, it didn't bother me. I just don't have the energy to be angry about what black people, do to themselves to undermine themselves. I think it's a gimmick. It could be just as easy that Lil Nas X could come back next year at the Kojic convention and say, I've been delivered. I've been delivered. I've been delivered. And people would love him. And I think, he doing what he got to do to stay relevant and to extend his career beyond Old Town Road. Maybe it should be called Hershey Road. I don't know. But you know, another thing, Memphis Connection was a sister that wrote the lyrics. They helped write the lyrics for Old Town Road. Sister from Memphis. See, everything come back to Memphis. I know people, why y'all talk about Memphis? Memphis is powerful. So I be looking at movies, they mention in Memphis. I'm like, damn, why they talking about Memphis? What is about Memphis that people got? You know, it's more songs recorded about Memphis than any other American city. I don't know what that's about. I live in Memphis. There's more recorded songs about Memphis than Chicago, New York, or L.A. Really? Interesting. Even New Orleans? Interesting. But like I said, Maurice White is from Memphis. Don't it make sense now that the guy who created Earth, Wind, and Fire is from a city that's named after a city in Memphis, Egypt? So, I wish Little Nas X the best. I don't have no ill will towards the brother. He doing what he got to do to stay relevant, to get paid. And I think it's time for people to stop letting these folks raise their kids. You should be letting your kids be raised by Little Nas X and Cardi B. Y'all let y'all kids listen to Cardi B music, and Cardi B don't even let her child listen to her music. Because you know why? Because she's a parent. She's being a parent. It's like you look at these rappers like Young Jeezy, talking about he a trapper and all this stuff, but his son went to private school. I think his son's college educated. Even saying with the 50 Cent young older son, he's college educated. Ain't nobody trying to stay up in no streets. Like, y'all look, we want to embrace that bullshit. You know, like you look at the gangsters, look at the Jewish gangsters, even the Italians and the Irish, they always try to make sure, hey, you know, y'all got to make this money legitimate within like 2 generations, right? They're not trying to help they son and grandson be gangsters like them. They want to be legitimate. It's like what Lucky Luciano said, behind every great wealth, there's a great crime. You know, the Bushes and the Vanderbilts. Look, the Vanderbilts hid their identity. The Whitneys, you thought they were Mayflower families. Now they came out the good ship Jesus. I'm just joking. But they actually, like, they got an ancestor who was a black man, the Von Sali. We talked about the Von Salis, right? Jackie O, Humphrey Bogart, you know. This thing's a game. Like Dick said, it's a game. Stop letting the game play you. We must learn how to play the game. Don't let the game play you. You play the game. We gotta identify what the rules are. A lot of us don't know the rules. Yeah, Freemasonry come from Egypt. It's our stuff. All our stuff. We've been afraid to use our own stuff. We think, oh, Freemasonry, oh, that's evil, and all this stuff is evil. Judaism is evil. All this stuff come out of us, man. We're afraid of our own reflection as a people. And it's sad. It's tragic because, like, a lot of things you think is stolen, we gave away. Everything that's valuable to white folks ain't stolen. We gave it to them. We taught them, man. Like Sun Ra, go look at the Detroit Journal interview he did back in 81. And I mean, it was a beautiful black woman, beautiful sister with natural hair and all. Like the stuff y'all tell me y'all want, the natural hair black woman. She had a little nice afro, beautiful sister, beautiful skin tone. And Sun Ra told her, look, we gave everything away. We gave up our sovereignty. All you folks talking about Aboriginals and natives, he telling you, we gave up our sovereignty to be with them. And this is why we at where we at. Because, you know, because black folks are so concerned about white people. I never seen folks that say they want revolution. I always think about, what white folks think. Why would anybody be happy that you overturn their apple cart? What do you think they think? They don't want you to do that. You know, and you know, people talk about Jack Johnson, but there's a lot of black women that be having kids with everybody, and you're not being raped on it. Look at that Chad with a Chad Wheeler. That sister was that dude. He thought he killed her, and he got a smoothie, and they want to talk about Deshaun Watson getting happy endings. But this dude raped this woman's face and everything. I wonder what her relationship was with her black daddy, if she got a black. My thing is this. A lot of our problem is that we don't know how to speak to each other without the filters, without the in-betweens. Like, let's say we let's say we just say, you know what? I don't want to text. I don't want to get on social media in your DMs. Let's meet up and look each other in the eye. Cut off our phones. Let's talk. Let's look at each other. study each other, learn each other for several hours. People are so uncomfortable with having this small talk. You can't even do small talk with people anymore. The art of the small talk, this light conversation is dead. You can't even flirt with people for fear of whatever, Me Too or whatever. People are so not comfortable in their own skin. And therein lies the problem. When you can't even trust yourself, how you gonna be a friend to somebody else if you can't be a friend to yourself? And learn, I'm learning. I should be a multimillionaire easily. I could have been a multimillionaire already. Maybe even a billionaire like Kanye. I respect Kanye. Because the thing about it is, if you want to do those type of things, you got to be able to trust your instincts and your intuition. You got to know you better than anybody else. You can't if you don't know you or know who you are, you can't even get to where you need to go. You have no understanding of learning you as a map. You are the blueprint to where you want to be. See, things I was able to do when I was in college, the things that brought me success were because I trust my instincts. I made some stupid mistakes, right? I made missteps, but they paid off because I did it with a certain intention. I did it because I believed in me. Because when you believe in you, ain't nothing can stop you from doing you but you. But if you allow everybody else to creep in, because people will project things onto you that's not your story. Like people be well, why don't you do it like this? Nah, they ain't me. That's not my story. I want to tell it my way. Like even my trumpet playing, it's mine, man. I don't care. I don't sound like this or that. I'm trying to learn me. The people I love, a lot of y'all don't like, and they consider masters. Thelonious Monk. I met musicians very accomplished. They don't care for Thelonious Monk. I love Thelonious Monk because I know Thelonious could play like Fats Waller. He could play like James P. Johnson, but he chose to play him. And to do that is very brilliant because it's not about trying to sound like everybody else. It's about trying to distinguish yourself, to learn who you are, to hear you, to understand you. And that's how you make your contribution. It's not about being like Mike. It's about being like you. It's not about everybody else. Yeah, sure, you like people like when I cook, I would hope people like how I cook my chicken and pork chops or whatever, but I make them for me. I live by myself and I make these things for me. I season them the way I want to season them because it's more important that they please my palate than anybody else. It's not about, like, for example, everybody's nasty, but your nasty ain't my nasty. I'm comfortable in my nasty, but I may not be comfortable with your nasty. You understand what I'm saying? Like my nasty is mine because I'm comfortable. I know it. I know where it came from. I know what it's about. I don't know the origins of your nasty, my naga. So you keep that over there. You know what I'm saying? But it is fascinating, man. You start living and you start realizing that it's not even important to get people to see things the way you see it or to hear things the way you hear it. You understand? Like you look at Miles Davis. I love Miles Davis. But people say, well, he didn't play like Dizzy Gillespie or Fess Navarro or Clifford Brown. He don't supposed to play like them. He played like him. And it's interesting when people just beat themselves, other folks learn how to be comfortable with themselves. When they see, okay, he's comfortable. It's like, Miles said, people saying that they learn a lot from me. I learned a lot from them. Like with Coltrane, because the way Mal was comfortable with silence and with minimalism, it allowed Coltrane to fill up these damn spaces with his sound. You look at Thelonious Monk, he's the second most recorded jazz composer of all time from my understanding behind Duke Ellington. Compared to Duke, Monk didn't say nothing because he didn't write that many compositions. Duke wrote thousands of songs and compositions and suites and stuff. Monk just had a small canon of songs, but they were so influential because of the quality. And I love Duke. Duke is probably the greatest composer America ever produced. But Monk, like when Monk, I remember I study these people. I love these people. Monk was said to be a genius, just to be yourself, just to be you. I mean, about being better than everybody else. Just be the best version of you. That's how you make in any field. That's how you make a contribution. And I think Monk was asked about Coltrane, because Monk helped Coltrane get to the next level. You know, Coltrane was, he kicked the heroin habit. I think it was either 56 or 57, around the time he was 30 years old. So you can understand the work that that Coltrane is renowned for came in the last decade of his life. He died at 40. So like the last 10 years of his life, that's the Coltrane that we know that's famous. You know, I had the blessing to talk to folks who knew Coltrane well, like Jimmy Heath, who we lost last year. Great jazz musician and educator. I had the chance to spend hours with him up in his apartment in Queens, talking about all these legends he played with. Like with Monk, he said, I never had to look outside myself for inspiration. Coltrane was constantly exploring, learning different religions, trying to learn different instruments. Monk said, all this stuff came from inside of me. I didn't have to look for anybody or anything to stimulate me. That shit just came out of me. And it go back to what Einstein said, that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. To paraphrase Albert Einstein, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Look, I created this stuff. I created this picture back in I do all this art. I'm an artist. I created this shirt. I did this drawing 20 years ago. I just now put it on a t-shirt. I'm not even showcasing all the stuff that I can do, that I know I can do. And I'm constantly learning things that I didn't know I had an ability or aptitude to do. And you should constantly be learning things that you didn't know you could do either. You should be constantly challenge yourself. I got a lot on my mind. Like I got sketchbooks and garage full of artwork. One way or the other, I have made my contribution. I have made my mark. Now I'm trying to figure out, how can I have this stuff help me as Ron Hurd, as a human being, get to where I need to go? So I had my great success in art school. They'll call me Mr. Unteachable, but because I had the ability to go outside the school, think outside the box, I was booking my own shows. I organized my own shows and everything. I had my first major one-man show at the Urban League in St. Louis, one of the largest urban leagues in the country. And I didn't know that the person who was the president of the Urban League at the time was going to be my future cousin-in-law. I didn't know that my cousin existed. This is weird how family, I just don't know. It's my uncle's side of the family. He didn't tell me about introduce me to his side of the family. I had to do that on my own, just traveling around the country, meeting people. But I did my first one-man show my senior year at the Urban League. They had like a great art facility, a great gallery facility, because my cousin-in-law, James Buford, he passed away back in 2019. And he was an amazing fundraiser for the Urban League. He's like one of the top Urban League presidents in the country. I mean, he raised a lot of money for the St. Louis Urban League, like tens of millions of dollars. And I didn't know that who he was at the time. All I knew, I just wanted to do a show. So I connected with the sister who was the curator at the time, Cookie Jordan. And I showed some of my work, and she was impressed by it. So I was able to just organize, promote it through the media. They didn't have no social media back then. I was just, I guess, spamming people and talking shit, finding emails. And it snowed. It was a big snowstorm that week, so it was a lot of snow. And I didn't know if I was able to get people to my show for the opening. Like my mom was coming out of town from Memphis. I had folks from around the country come to that show. Kansas City, cousins I never met before came out in the snow for their show. And what happened was the late Dean Glore, Adrian Dean Glore, who was one of the assistants in the John B. Irvin Scholars Program that I was a part of in Washington University in St. Louis, she made sure that she had shuttles running from the campus to the gallery for people who had problems with transportation when all the snow was on the ground. So she looked out for me. She didn't charge me anything, but she was looking out for me. Look, Ron, I'll make sure you can have transportation, shuttle transportation available for anybody who want to come from campus to go see your show. So she passed on. She's a righteous Ancestral now, back in 2017. But her daughter actually produced this film on Amazon Prime called Sylvie's Choice, starring Tessa Thompson. I didn't know she had a daughter who was a movie producer until a couple of months ago. So I'm gonna try to get a daughter on the show. And I said, Dean Glory really looked out for me. She was like an angel. So people came, and it actually got covered by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch top art critic. And I had art professors who called me Mr. Unteachable. they showed me the review in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So you know how hard it is for this guy to not only come to your shows, but also to write a decent review on your work. And that opened the doors to other shows and stuff. And this is me trusting my instincts and stepping out my comfort zone. And sometimes you can be lulled back to sleep by being a creature of comfort. So for on and off for the last 20 years, I've been doing that. I should be different. It should be, but it is what it is. We live and learn. We'll see what the next 20 or 40 years. If I hope I get some time to figure this shit out, and we'll see where I'll be at. But I don't know, man. Like, you should trust yourself. And like Thelonious Monk said something that was very powerful. And I'm gonna go on this because I did not even talk about all the things I want to talk about, but it is what it is. But it's freestyle. Thelonious Monk said, even if it take you 20 years to get an audience, do what you do. You don't do it for the audience, you do it the way you do it, and you get the right people to attract, to what you do, to support what you do. So it's important. It's very important. So with that said, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank y'all for checking out. I guess the stream is holding. That's good. Thank y'all for checking out. Like I said, y'all know how to support. The Cash App your support, R2C2H2. Also, you can PayPal, Google Pay, and Zelle at r2c2h2@gmail.com or your Vimo at r2c2h2. Yeah, anyway, I think everybody should learn how to express themselves. It's very therapeutic. And also the art of not giving a damn. That's important too. And like I said, I'm going to learn to not give a damn. Less when it's important to care. And only it's important to care when you know what you want, and you should dedicate yourself to making it happen. Also, you can buy Art of His Art at r2c2h2.com. I got to actually revamp my website. Like I said, I got a whole bunch of art that I don't show. And you could wear Art of His Art. Like I said, this shirt is dedicated to Burt Williams. This is something I did 20 years ago in college. Mr. Nobody, or I Am Nobody. And there was a famous character that Burt Williams came up with called Nobody, which is the blueprint for Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp and Buster Keaton. And so many other, W.C. Fields said this about Burt Williams. He said he was the funniest man he ever saw, but the saddest man he ever knew, because how he was treated. This guy was one of the comic geniuses of early film and of Broadway. I mean, he set the blueprint for not only the Charlie Chaplins and the Buster Keatons and the Eddie Cantors, but also the Eddie Murphys. You cannot have Eddie Murphy without Burt Williams. And y'all should check out some of his stuff. He also was one of the first Black recording stars in the new music industry. So Burt Williams set the bar real high, but he's forgotten about. Langston Hughes thought enough of Burt Williams to miss one of his important college exams at Columbia University, I believe. And he went to his funeral instead. So it's interesting to think about, but also keep an open mind for information. And that's it right now. So I thank y'all for tuning in, and not just tuning out, but tuning in. And in the words of the great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. And just say no to trolls. I'm not feeding y'all no more. Y'all go somewhere else to get y'all kicks. Brother Ron don't feed y'all no more. I don't feed the freeloaders.